You need to get up, get out, and get something. Don't spend all your time trying to get high. You need to get up, get out, and get something.
Enough is enough! I have had it!
Why so serious?
And we hold the world ransom for...
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Show me that.
Broadcasting live from the Armada Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. This is the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy. Welcome. It's Monday morning. I am the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. You're listening to the Sports Jock Show. We are live coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. What a great week of sports. We have a lot to talk about. Let me tell you right now, there's going to be a couple of topics that you're going to be like, why is the Sports Jock and his compadres speaking on this? Once you hear it, we got 19 children left in a home, beer in a sippy cup. We got a lot of things to talk about today on the Sports Jock Show, along with the Wimbledon champions, Serena Williams and Roger Federer, and maybe the oddest story that I've heard in a while of someone just right out quitting. But to help you and help me go through these next 3 hours, we have the funny man himself, Big Kenny.
Happy Monday morning. Good morning. How is everybody doing today?
You sound great over there with your new mic.
Oh, brother, I really appreciate it. I don't know what happened. The little microphone L's came in the middle of the night, and they did some tinkering behind the scenes, and now everything is more beautiful than they have always been.
And speaking of beautiful, the beautiful Miss Desire is also here as well.
Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody.
I see you have your mascara close in hand there.
No, it's lip gloss. My lip gloss gotta be
lip
popping.
gloss.
They gotta be popping. That's what's making Kenny roll over here. He's sitting next to me.
It's a lip gloss.
Glittering lips is the key
and
to Big Kenny.
I believe if they do not follow us on social media, Facebook or Twitter, then they do not know that it is official today that Miss Desire is taking the co-host seat.
I'm
in
here.
the middle.
I got a memo. I got a memo about that.
Because people never talk to us directly.
I never got
that's the one thing that I love about this show is nobody. I mean, we're in the same room together like a lot,
right?
And nobody ever talks to you directly, and then you get these emails about all.
No. I didn't even get an email.
You got a text message.
I got a text message.
Yeah, I did too.
I didn't get an explanation or anything.
I got the same little text message like, "Hey, thanks." In the morning, things will be a little bit different.
And I found out who has been stealing my newspaper. My newspaper, I'm one of the last people in America to still get print.
Yeah.
I figure that somebody got to keep these people
working,
employed.
Yeah.
I mean, 1 out of 5 Georgians is on unemployment.
Right,
So
right.
if
They have-
everybody go to computer, there's going to be more unemployment.
They have a sports jock wing at the USA Today building. You're keeping all
I
of
want him
them.
this week. I want him this week. He gives great tips.
So I'm coming out my house, and I found out today why the good producer likes his dog to pee on my mailbox.
Because it gives them a chance to sneak over by the mailbox and steal your
My
newspaper.
I figured all that out this morning.
Now, think about this. I think when we first started discussing your newspaper coming up missing, that we asked the good producer, do you know anything about the newspaper being missing?
Right.
And he was like, I
Ain't
ain't seen no newspaper. Ain't nobody saying nothing to me about no newspaper. And then come to find out it's been him the entire time.
And then he'd be the first one talking about, you still read the newspaper?
You still read the
You still getting it?
He's trying to find out, are you still getting double copies so he can pass them out maybe? Are you still getting your newspaper?
Yes, the newspaper is still sold. You can buy a year subscription for, I think it's about $125, something like that. It's not much.
Wow. For a subscription for a whole year, and you get the paper every day.
Every day. So it's
Wow.
not so, it's cheap. Magazines are even, you can get a magazine and send one to a friend.
Right. And
for free. It's like.
I get them when I order shoes.
the amazing thing about print, like newspapers and magazines, is that it is so affordable for all of that information, and people are so tied to the convenience of computers and smartphones and tablets and all of those things
Right.
that they'll not get the bargain. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they won't cash the coupon. They'll just
Right.
keep paying for like email services that charge you twice as much a month.
Yeah, there's still coupons. I even took a get a free Pepsi 2-liter from Target thing in. It was on my news.
Why do they always
Why-
offer you food bargains? 3 cheeseburgers for $2.99.
Hey, that 2-liter, man, it was Pepsi.
I always
How can you
forget
turn
them.
down
How can you
anything
turn
free?
down a free
It could
2-liter
be,
Pepsi?
It could be
It doesn't
free
matter.
battery acid. Give it
$5
Yeah.
off. I always forget them
Yeah.
at home on the microwave, sitting right there.
See, you never take them in the
I-
house. What you do is you take them to your car.
See,
Right,
I see my
right.
purse.
Take
Do you see how dirty it would be if I did that?
them to the car. But sit back. We have a great show. As I said, we're going to talk Wimbledon. We're going to talk track and field. We're going to talk NBA. Wow, huge. Joe Johnson being traded here in Atlanta.
And
so
last
that's gonna
week
be
we
huge.
discussed. I said it wouldn't happen. I was wrong about that.
So sit back. The Sports Jock Show, Big Kenny, Miss Desire. Big Kenny, what's that number they can hit us at?
888-926-7562. That's 888-926-7562. TheSportsJOC.com.
We'll be back.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Over 13 million people are affected by famine, war, and drought in the Horn of Africa. Unfortunately, just listening to this commercial won't help them. Just listening won't give them their next meal, or shelter, or hope. You can help by texting GIVE to 777-444 to donate $10, and by going to usaid.gov/FWD to forward the facts. Brought to you by the Ad Council and USAID. Text donations go directly to Consortium of Humanitarian Relief Organizations. Standard text and data rates apply.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. Last Monday's show, I talked about a runoff, an Olympic trial runoff for the 100 meters to decide who would be third on the 100 meters women's track and field team. It was supposed to come on NBC at 8 p.m. I reported this to you, and it never happened. They had discussed Jennifer Turmo and Allison Felix. that they were going to have a runoff instead of flipping a coin. Sunday night, even as I watched the end of the Olympic trials last Sunday night, they still were on to run this race. And by Monday evening, we saw what I think is horrific in sports, and that is the athlete basically quitting. I feel like I can actually call Ms. Turmoil a quitter at this point, saying that the pressure and she just was not up for the task anymore. There was supposed to be a runoff of her and Allison Felix. They were going to run the 100. The winner would take the third position on the track and field team. This has been a big story. Earlier in last week, we've even had the greats like Jackie Joyner-Kersee come out and said she was excited because she felt like it was going to bring excitement back to the sport. It was going to bring track and field back to the homes of people. And after all, the Marion Jones and different people in track and field being caught in scandals with steroids and HGH and all those kind of things, that track and field needed this kind of excitement. NBC was running a 30-minute special just to show this runoff, and Miss Turmoil decided, Big Kenny, Miss Desire, she didn't want to do it.
Now, I'll tell you something. When I first became aware of all of this, her declining the runoff, my thing was, you're scared to get beat. I'm a person that the only way I don't talk about who's better. Take it to the stage. You know what I mean? If you got something you want to prove and we're trying to talk about the same thing, let's compete, and the best person will be better than the other one. So I immediately thought that it had something to do with her being afraid. I saw her do an interview on ESPN. I believe it may have been with Stuart Scott. And she explained that her reluctance to compete in the runoff came from the fact that during the actual race, when they finished running the race, she was declared the third place finisher. She was given the American flag, allowed to take a victory lap. She was allowed to do an acceptance press conference of the win. They discussed how close it was, but you won. Everyone there said that she won, including the IOC officials. Then later, in a more private moment, they came to her on some Jennifer, hey, can we holler at you for a second? And we think it was a little closer than that. And she said that her and Allison Felix had discussed that she really wasn't feeling up for the runoff because she was feeling somewhat slighted. Like, I was given the victory lap. They claimed me the winner. So what do you want to do about this? And she said that she said that Allison Felix told her that she would back down and recede her place. And then later, Allison Felix said that what she said is if it could be proven that she wasn't the definite winner, then she would resign her place. So when it wasn't proven she was a definite winner, now she wants to have the runoff. Jennifer said she felt like initially she was betrayed, but then later it was a miscommunication. So that's why she's deciding, because she feels like the IOC could have been a little bit more decisive in their decision making and stuck with the decision that they made.
Well, that's all. That sounds good and nice and all that, but we're talking about the competition of sport,
right? Yeah,
where you can go when the greatest thing about, and we have a call on the line, David. We're going to go to him just a second, but I have to give this to you too, Big Kenny, Miss Desire. Track and field. What makes it exciting, like anything, like team sports, is it's not subjective. You either win or you lose. It's not a judge over there rating you 8.2,
right,
7.9 on the dive. This is you win or you lose.
His feet weren't pointing.
They know what you're getting into when you get in it. So.
Exactly. Right. So hold on. Let's take this call. David, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning to you. We're talking about the Allison Felix, Jennifer Turmoil runoff that Jennifer decided to step aside. Do you have a comment on that?
Yes, hearing both your comment and Kenny, I just don't understand. Like, I mean, you're groomed as an athlete, male or female, to be a competitor from day one. Okay, she felt slighted and everything, but here's an opportunity for her to run off. And it's not like she's having this run off against a stranger. I mean, this is her actual teammate that she trains with. So they run against each other all the time, and it's like, this is a every 4-year opportunity to go to the Olympics, the epitome of track and field. And although she felt a certain way, here's your opportunity to say, okay, let's settle this in fair and square, let's have this runoff, and let the whole world see it and be the judge of it again, since it was so close. And she just waved the white flag. I mean, as, you know, looking at it from an athletic perspective, like, wow, it's just like you just surrendered. You just gave up.
And David, I agree 100% with you. Even just basic armchair athletes are saying that you quit because, as you alluded to earlier, I feel like if there's a situation where you slighted me.
Thank you, David, for calling in.
Thank you so much. If you slight me, then, okay, I was slighted, but I'm going to show you why you were wrong in slighting me.
Correct.
I'm about to blow the brakes off of this chick in this runoff. It's only 2 of us, so watch really close because she's going to be super far behind me. And now, not only did you slight me, but you owe me an apology. She's breathing really hard, and she lost. And now y'all know that I am better than her. So, I mean, for me, I'd want to compete just out of some, I mean, call it egotistical.
Correct.
But my competitive nature would make me want to get in the game.
And Ms. Desire, isn't this the essence of competition? Like, you just want a chance to be
show your stuff,
to show your ability.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with both of you on both standpoints. It is competition. I'm very competitive, and sometimes you just got to get in there and show them what it is. Whether you feel like the outcome is what you want it to be, or going to be what you want it to be, or not, you need to get out there and show them that you can do. You know, you can do what you set out to do.
And this kind of attitude from Jennifer makes me feel like this is why you wasn't in first place.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because you go out and you will quit. I mean, that's all I can ever. It come down to 2 people, and they let you actually square off. Like, this is not like they go behind closed doors and come out like, well, we decided to go with Kenny.
Right.
You know, no, y'all 2. Here's the stick. Fight.
Right.
Who wants it the most?
Who wants it the most?
It's the competition and that's where I feel like the different athletes. Otto Bolton, he spoke about he was disappointed, and a lot of the track athletes, like, this was a chance, even though they, you know, track and field didn't have a rule, but this was going to be the first runoff, and all of these track and field greats wanted to see this. I wanted to see this. We talked about going home, set your, you know, TiVo, whatever you're gonna do. Watch
you
this
almost
runoff.
you almost said VCR.
Do they still have those? Who has those? VCR?
Sports Jock was the first to get one, and he's still using it today.
I do still have VHS tapes though.
Yeah, and it's attached to a super high definition screen television now.
But that's when I saw this, and I was like, wow. It's one thing to lose, but to quit, and it's no different than Roberto Duran. He will always be known for no mas.
No mas. And I think,
you know,
and I think for me, that's what I'm most disappointed in. I'm never mad at a person for losing as long as you play hard as you can.
And you give your best.
If you give your 100%, and that's across the board. I tell my children, if you try your best and all you get is a C, then I'm satisfied with that. But if I know you can get A's and you're giving me B pluses, I need more out of you. So this person, win or lose, you could have competed, given it your all, and taking the outcome of what your talents had available for you. And she chose the other option. And forever, people will see her as somebody that might blink.
Right.
I mean, I don't want people on my team that may blink.
And we're talking about the Olympic stage.
The Olympic stage.
We're not talking about qualifying for the state championship. We're talking about something that comes along every 4 years.
Brazilian women, women from Switzerland, women from Germany, from Japan, from the Middle East, just honeys from everywhere.
Right. And as an Olympic, it's not like the Olympics is like team sports where you try to make it to the professional. To me, if I'm an Olympian or if I'm in those type of sports, the Olympics is the big dance. That's it. To run on the Olympic stage.
As a performer, the core reason I'm a performer is because I have a look at me desire. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I like attention. Here I am all by myself on that podium, and everybody's talking about not a team name, not the Broncos, not the Padres. Everybody's talking about me.
Right.
And I would have had to take my shot, man. But different strokes for different folks.
Very, very disappointing, Jennifer. Very disappointing. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a different type of running. Something that Miss Desire probably would be up for. We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show after this.
Jennifer, you still look good in some shorts, though.
She is kind of fine.
Not kind of.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next. And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock Wayne Gandy. We were talking about Olympic sprinting and the failure of Jennifer Turmo just dropping out of the runoff between her and Alex and Felix last week. There's a different kind of running that happens every year on this planet that we call Earth, and that is the running of the bulls.
In Pamplona, Spain, my friend.
And that's this week. It started on Saturday. They have 8 different days, 8 races each day, where they basically put 6 wild bulls and let them go and chase you down the street. Big Kenny in Chicago, y'all call this crime.
No, in Chicago we call it third grade. And keep in mind that these are not just bulls.
No,
these are the primest. These bulls are the bulls that the Lamborghini symbol is designed around.
It's the real one.
These are fighting bulls.
These are fighting bulls. These are the strongest, most aggressive, most
mad,
instinctively trained to hurt you bulls that they get. So
and they do this over an 8-day period. From the 6th to the 14th.
Because risking your life is really not just a one-day thing. You know what I mean? I need 7 days.
It's 6 bulls, and so far, they've already had 6 people get injured. One lady got gored in the leg.
And this is a sport.
How come the ladies just don't stay at home for this one? You know what I'm saying? What about the running of the bulls bake sale?
And
Somebody needs to handle that.
I want to ask you what is the turn on of having a bull chase you down a tight street? Like, it's not like you got a lot of room to dodge.
Bruh, I will say this. It's interesting that this comes up because there was this young man was recently mauled by some monkeys. And I try and say that without laughing, but anytime I hear about people mauled by monkeys, it just makes me laugh because monkeys and people don't usually hang out together. You know what I'm saying?
No, not really.
Like if I was coming out of a sports bar and got jumped on by some monkeys, then that may seem tragic because it was like a hate crime. The monkeys shouldn't have been really messing with me like that. But I mean, monkeys live where monkeys live. We live where we live, and then when we come into contact with each other and they maul us, people go, "How unnatural. Well, no, that's what monkeys
That's what
do
they
to
do.
strangers.
Right.
Is maul them. So, but in a case with animals, I believe in. I'm an adrenaline seeker. I like taking risk.
Correct.
They will never be with wildlife. I don't care what it is. Now, I may put, an elastic band around my ankles and jump from 500 feet, hoping that it doesn't snap. But I'll never go, look, sharks, let's swim with them. You know what I mean? That'll never be me. I don't want to pet sharks. I don't want to go see tigers in the safari.
You're not going to climb up in the tree with the gorilla.
No, I don't want to ride the back of an elephant while we search for the gazelle in the jungles of the Caribbean. You know what I'm saying? None of that stuff appeals to me. And when you see people like my man Steve Irwin, who was a professional with wild animals, get the big 86 messing around with wild animals, and he's an expert, that should say to you that this is nothing to play around with.
Right.
You know, but I mean, these people are accountants and hairstylists.
And they flew, and a lot of them flew 10, 12 hours.
Right.
To
Just
get
to
off
go,
a plane.
Right.
Get real drunk. Because I'm figuring you were
You
doing
have to be.
some type of drug.
Listen, for you to
right
even come
before
up
the
with the
gun
idea,
blew.
for you to come up with the idea, you got
Let's
to be
let
pretty
a bull
high
run
already.
behind us. Very fast.
And hope we can outrun.
And hope we can live.
And the interesting thing is, say you and one of your friends are out there, and y'all, you're basically running the same speed. You see the bull coming. I mean, this is a battle for survival.
That's a trip. I already know what you're going to say. I'm a trip you, Kenny.
Do you trip him down? I'm just saying.
I'm a trip you.
I'm just saying. Where are you at?
Listen,
when is the point where
Miss Desire,
personal
survival
Miss Desire,
survive.
and Sports Jock, I would like to say right now, for the record, that y'all have hurt me in a situation where I am running with my friends and the bull is getting close. How dare you ask me? You know for a fact I would push you down.
Somebody is
You
out.
know I would push you down. There is no need to even ask me
No
that.
need for discussion.
So there is survival instinct.
And now this is the thing. It's not like they're running from 6 bulls on a football field where you can like pull a juke move on the bull. You know, it's super narrow alleyways with
right,
thousands
that's what I was
of people.
saying.
Right.
It's not like you got a lot of room
but
to move around.
I think the first thing I would do, I wouldn't push my friends first. I would push strangers first because I don't really care about strangers like that. But if I had pushed as many people as I could push and my friend was the last person to be pushed, yeah, you going down.
You got to go down.
So, yeah.
Running with the bulls. Miss Desire, do you have anything that you would like to try?
Now that we're talking about doggone animals and stuff chasing after you, there is in Illinois, they're saying there's a toothy fish that can weigh up to 55 pounds that is eating testicles. So check it out. They're eating testicles.
I thought you were gonna say hang gliding. I was looking for like hang gliding or something.
I'm saying that
it's called a pacus. It primarily.
I knew a girl from Illinois that used to eat testicles, and she was kind of cool with me. I'm just saying, I don't know. Is this a bad thing? This testicle
it's on Weird News.
Okay.
Weird News. Go check it out.
See, that's why I don't get around animals.
I've tried mountain oysters before.
I have to.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan
of consuming testicles.
We're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk to my man, Fireball Turnbull. We'll be back after this.
Happy Monday, people.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Psst. Hey, over here.
What?
Right here, on the side of the house.
Who said that?
Look down. I'm right at your feet.
Wait, the basketball?
Yes, the basketball. Right down here, where the kids left me a long time ago. Man, you know how lonely it is being a ball and not being able to bounce or roll?
Excuse me?
Remember when you got me for the kids? You said, now kids, you have no excuse not to go outside and play.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I'll miss flying through the air and hearing the shouts of joy when I swish through the basket. What do you say? Could you give me a little air and remind the kids of how fun I still am?
Okay. Oh, wow. You are flat.
Easy, I'm ticklish. Let's get bouncing.
As Native American parents and caregivers, our encouragement to healthy lifestyles for our kids is helping them get outside and play. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov/Indian Country. Brought to you by USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock Wayne Gandy, and Mr. Zai, I do not need any lip gloss. I don't know why this is. Why is this over here?
It rolled.
You can roll it to Kenny.
It's actually
He does
pretty
makeup.
good. You know what?
No, I don't do makeup. My makeup artist does makeup on me.
But listen, I'm telling y'all, when I get ready to start launching my edible line, my lip glosses and the tasties, I don't care what y'all say. Everybody is trying it on because I need men's perspective because you're going to be putting it everywhere and the women are going to be using it on you. So I need everybody to know.
Anything
No
you
exceptions.
got, anything you got going on that has something to do with lips and me trying it out, put me on. I'll be at the top of the list. Guinea pig me.
I'll be in Spain running with the bulls before I start trying on lipstick.
It's not lipstick. It's balm and it's edible flavors and it's for
We could let that testicle eating fish try it out. At least it'll be really cute when it comes up to you. Like, wow, what is going on here?
It tastes good.
We're talking about dangerous events, and NASCAR is always the most dangerous, one of the most dangerous sports that you can basically be in when you're going 200 miles per hour with about 40 other men in a circle. Crashes happen, and people have lost their life.
40 other aggressive men.
Yeah,
NASCAR drivers are some angry dudes, bro. They will scrap
competition
at a funeral.
I guarantee you, they won't concede a race.
They will not concede a race.
They will not concede a race.
No. Or a fist fight, or
that's because they're sweating bullets in this car. They're losing like what 6-10 pounds a minute or every lap or something.
And
like
so
that.
you punch another dude.
Yes, get out my way.
Well, as always, when we want our NASCAR report, we call our great friend, Mr. Doug Fireball Turnbull. Turnbull, are you there, sir?
My lip gloss is popping, man. How you doing?
Good morning.
Hey, by the way, if they lost 10 pounds a lap, I just want to point out that means they would have lost 1,600. Each driver would have lost 1,600 pounds on Saturday night. It was 160 laps at Daytona. That's what
I
they
am
ran.
learning. That's a great diet.
It's more like 6 to 10 a race. But, you know, whatever. That's it's close enough, right?
Fireball, before we talk about Daytona, I want to ask you, because you're a daredevil, I can just tell.
Yeah.
Would you run with the Bulls?
When I run with the Bulls, you know, I honestly don't know enough about it to do it, but it seems to me that it'd be dangerous enough that I'm not as much of a daredevil as you think, I guess. I mean,
wait a minute, Fireball. I don't know as much about it as maybe I know.
Well,
what
I
is
mean,
there
I don't
to
know
know?
how many
It's a
people
bull.
get hurt. I mean,
It'll kill you. That's pretty much the
well,
whole.
I mean, I don't know how many people get killed or how many people do it, what the ratio is. It would be fun to be there while it's happening and to say I saw the running of the bulls.
Right.
But I don't have any interest in getting gouged to death by a bull. So that's, you know.
Okay, let's scratch him off the guy that's going to run list.
I'll just stick with my last name, Turnbull, and we'll leave it at that.
You passed the sanity test, Fireball. Well, speaking of events, the Coke 0400 went down in Daytona.
Yes, sir.
And before we talk about Mr. Tony Stewart, who won, A.J. Allmendinger. Tell me about this story and what drug did he get caught? I mean, HGH is banned in auto racing?
Well, you know, that NASCAR has a really rigorous drug testing policy, first off. The reason why is because several years ago, about 2007, 2008, there were two different drivers, one of which named Shane Neal that failed multiple tests to the point where he pretty much got a lifetime ban from NASCAR. Another driver named Aaron Fike
who actually admitted that he drove while high on heroin, and he did not fail a NASCAR drug test either. He never failed a NASCAR drug test, and this isn't the kind of rednecks running wild and jumping in cars. He had a serious addiction, and it was very much the exception to the rule. Aaron Pike was, and he and his girlfriend, actually, I think it was his girlfriend, got caught, in their car with some sort of drugs. And that just, led to his being suspended from NASCAR. And then he did an article pretty much, spoke out an article pretty much saying, hey, this needs to change in the sport. So NASCAR got really tough on their drug policy, and people get tested randomly in NASCAR now, just like in baseball, football, whatever. And they'll just come up to a driver or the crew members or anybody that has, the certain NASCAR credentials that keep them in the garage all the time, and they test them. And AJ, and what they do is you take two tests. There's a test that's your, the first test, the first sample, and then there's the B sample. And so AJ Allmendinger, they tested his A sample a week or two ago, and it came back as a positive test. And they didn't say for what. NASCAR doesn't normally say what people tested positive for. A couple of years ago, when Jeremy Mayfield tested positive for something, he made such a stink about being innocent and all the reasons he could have tested positive that were not drugs. And NASCAR finally said, yeah, you tested positive for meth. But he's the only driver up until now that's really, that since NASCAR's new drug testing policies come out, this has actually happened. So Allmendinger fails a drug test. We don't know if it was because he took something while he was working out and it triggered something. We don't know if it was a misunderstanding, maybe like arguably the Ryan Braun situation was, although that's very cloudy too. But Allmendinger has not come out and said that he did not do drugs. His team has not really said anything either for or against him, but what they had to do, guys, this is the craziest part. I know you think the drug part is crazy. They had to fly in their driver. Penske Racing has a driver in the Nationwide Series, Sam Hornish Jr., and he's got a call at 6 o'clock while he was filming a segment for Speed Center, a news show on the Speed Channel, and said, we need you down in Daytona. He hopped in a private jet and got to the race literally 10 to 15 minutes before the green flag. That's cutting it close right there, guys.
And if it hadn't been for all that cocaine he was consuming, he would have never been able to focus. No, I'm just kidding.
Before we go to break, Fireball, one question: would there have been a penalty if they couldn't have found someone to race?
Well, no, they had a driver at the track, Kenny Wallace, standing by.
Okay.
And by the way, Allmendinger has an indefinite drug suspension until his B sample is tested, and then NASCAR will announce whether they're going to reinstate him or how it works. But obviously, bad stuff for Allmendinger, who's having a tough year, his first year with a really good team, Penske Racing.
And they do tell Allmendinger what he failed, what they found.
I'm not clear on that. I do not think they do. I think they just say that you tested positive.
Oh, he knows. It's not like he's not aware that he's doing meth.
It's just like in baseball and all the other sports. There's a lot of things. If you take cold medicine and don't tell NASCAR or something kind of questionable, you could be not a druggie and fail a drug test. And that's why I want to be slow to rush to judgment here. These guys, it's not, NASCAR ain't the same way it was. They're not moonshine haulers anymore. A lot of them are, sophisticated guys that are coming up through the sport, so to speak. And I don't know we know him personally or anything. He may have a drug problem or may have just taken a hit of the reef one time. And
well, Fireball, hold that thought. We're going to go to break. We'll come right back. More of the Sports Jock Show right after this.
What is this, the 70s?
It. Yes.
They said on heroin.
The new 70s.
Sometimes I feel I'm just a disappointment to y'all. Every day.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Over 13 million people are affected by famine, war, and drought in the Horn of Africa. Unfortunately, just listening to this commercial won't help them. Just listening won't give them their next meal, or shelter, or hope. You can help by texting GIVE to 777-444 to donate $10, and by going to usaid.gov/FWD to forward the facts. Brought to you by the Ad Council and USAID. Text donations go directly to Consortium of Humanitarian Relief Organizations. Standard text and data rates apply.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. When we left, we were talking NASCAR and finding out that you can drive on heroin and you can even race on heroin.
Listen,
just don't get caught.
I can't believe
that's a little extreme.
I can't believe that they suspended a guy for racing on heroin. Have you ever seen a heroin addict and how they just nod off almost into an unconscious state? For this dude to be focused enough that he can stay awake enough to navigate a car at hundreds of miles an hour in between nod offs, he ought to be inducted into the Racing Hall of Fame.
And as you know, when you listen to the Sports Jock Show, our main man in the NASCAR field is Doug Fireball Turnbull. Fireball, the Coke 0400 in Daytona. Tony Stewart taking the flag and what amounted to a great race. He had to win on the last lap. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was an exciting finish, and I'd say a pretty deep. I won't say great, but it was a good finish. And what happened? What it amounted to is the points leader, Matt Kenseth, who's been in the news a lot because he's announced after 10-plus years he's leaving the Roush Fenway Racing Team, the number 17. He and his teammate Greg Biffle, even though all the cars are pretty much the same at Daytona and they go relatively the same speed, he and Greg Biffle had just a little bit more edge, and between those two, they led just about all of the race. Kenseth leading more than Biffle, and so everybody knew that they were the ones to beat. And so toward the end of the race, as people started stepping out of line and trying to kind of pass the two leaders there, everybody knew that the trick to winning that race was to get up next to him. Everybody's drafting, pushing each other's bumper through the air and just get more speed. And everybody knew if they got up to Biffle or Kenseth to try to dip down, and what happens is when you're next to him on the outside or the inside, if you kind of get up and break up the air in between the two cars, you could break them apart, and then they lose speed. And so Tony Stewart, and the last lap was crazy. There were people running all into each other, and then finally a big wreck just before the finish. Tony Stewart got a great run on the outside of Kenseth and Biffle, and he dipped right halfway in between those two cars on the outside. It wedged them apart, and then he side drafted off of Kenseth, and he took the lead there at the very end of the race. And then behind him, Greg Biffle, went from in turn 3 being in second place to finishing 21st. Matt Kenseth stayed out of the wreck and finished, second, but a ton of people wrecked. And pretty much, I wouldn't call it a great race because it was a total crapshoot. Everybody just sat there behind Matt Kenseth until the very end, and then they went crazy. Their hair set on fire, and a ton of people wrecked. So it was exciting, but it probably wasn't the best kind of racing per se. That's what a racing purist would say.
All right. Tony Stewart winning his 18th victory at Daytona, second only to Dale Earnhardt Sr., 34 wins.
And what's ironic in that is that Tony Stewart, just like Dale Earnhardt waited till very late in his career, 20 years, to win the Daytona 500. Tony Stewart's won nationwide races, IROC races, every kind of cup race you can win at Daytona, every kind of NASCAR race just about you can win at Daytona, except for the biggest one, the Daytona 500. It's sort of like Peyton Manning before he won a Super Bowl. He'd breaking records and won just all sorts of playoff series. But until he won that Super Bowl, that's what sort of validates your career. And Stewart's done it all, but he hasn't won that Daytona 500.
Fireball, one of the most interesting statistics I saw that came out of Saturday night's race was Daytona had 57,000 seats that were not sold.
Oh, man.
They say that the economy seems to be what is the culprit of the sagging ticket sales. But we all know that sporting events are about profit. What do you think is the challenge in selling more tickets to NASCAR? And someone said that, NASCAR events take a lot more traveling, take a lot longer stay to attend a sporting event. But I've been past a lot of NASCAR events, and the way that they stay, the big motorhomes and things like that, I'm sure that that's quite expensive too. What do you think that NASCAR needs to do to sell more tickets? Maybe expand the audience. Do you think that would help?
Because, what they did a couple of years, that's a great question, Big Kenny, by the way, because that's the million-dollar question is what do you do to get more people interested in the sport? And I think what happened that caused NASCAR's popularity to sink is in the early 2000s, when their popularity was growing by leaps and bounds, and you're getting all sorts of, more average Joe sports fans starting to follow this weird thing called NASCAR. NASCAR started making changes, and teams started making changes, and the money got bigger, and it just became a more vanilla product. And so it alienated its diehard fan base, the blue-collar guys who, let's face it, like to see people from North Carolina winning races instead of people from California. And it wasn't just the people, but the drivers didn't have as much attitude. They really aren't as brawly and everything now as they were, say, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, now they're a lot more vanilla because the sponsors put a lot more pressure on them to act clean.
Well, let me ask you something, Doug. Is that part of, I think, what could help with ticket sales is right now the perception of NASCAR is that it's a good old boy sport. So that eliminates the other demographic of the world that don't consider themselves good old boys. So if you would maybe soften that image a little, do you think they could sell more tickets?
I don't because I think that a lot of the other people, the Joe Schmo sports fans, are who don't really, you know, who just kind of see racing, you know, when they're flipping channels, don't really. The racing right now, and the one big problem is the racing's not good enough. You know, it's just they're not passing enough. It's just not exciting enough. And so you're not going to get the average sports fans watching just people going around in circles with no context. The blue-collar guys, they're alienated because the sport's it's literally gone from being build a car in your backyard or with a small team and go to the racetrack and compete. It's gone from that to being multi-million-dollar corporations running around in circles. And the sports diehard fan base are the ones that have been hit hardest with the economy. You know, It's not the upper middle class. It's not the rich people necessarily. I mean, everybody's suffering, but, you know, it's the people that are plumbers, pipe fitters, electricians, you know, that kind of deal. And it's so expensive to go to a racetrack. You sit in so much traffic a lot of times, and it really costs hundreds of dollars to go to a race if you want to be there the whole weekend. That people are just like, hey, I could flip on my 46-inch, you know, TV at home that I paid only $400 or $500 for, and watch all the races and follow them on the internet and not have to go through any of the BS. And I know diehard NASCAR fans who aren't into any of the drivers now who feel that way.
All right, Fireball, thank you for calling in, helping us with the NASCAR report. As always, very informative.
Glad to do it.
We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show after this.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Psst. Hey, over here.
What?
Right here, on the side of the house.
Who said that?
Look down. I'm right at your feet.
Wait, the basketball?
Yes, the basketball. Right down here, where the kids left me a long time ago. Man, you know how lonely it is being a ball and not being able to bounce or roll?
Excuse me?
Remember when you got me for the kids? You said, now kids, you have no excuse not to go outside and play.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I'll miss flying through the air and hearing the shouts of joy when I swish through the basket. What do you say? Could you give me a little air and remind the kids of how fun I still am?
Okay. Oh, wow. You are flat.
Easy, I'm ticklish. Let's get bouncing.
As Native American parents and caregivers, our encouragement to healthy lifestyles for our kids is helping them get outside and play. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov/Indian Country. Brought to you by USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. We'd like to thank Doug Fireball Turnbull for calling in, helping us with the NASCAR report. Big Kenny, to finish kind of answering, I think, what you were trying to ask, Doug. A lot of sports are driven by the personalities that are on the field. And some of these sports, basketball, football, NASCAR, if you keep trying to clean – people watch sports for the antics just as much as they watch it for the experience of the sport. And the Good Boy Network, as you were trying to allude to, when people watch NASCAR, they look for the guy that spits out the car. You know, they want to hear about someone fighting. It's like taking the fight out of hockey. Right. You know, if you clean up, you do lose attendance. And I keep screaming this about football. If y'all keep tweaking the sport where nobody can hit, then people are going to eventually become uninterested because people want to see other people get punished.
Well, I don't think from the perspective, my perspective is not from cleaning up their antics. My perspective is from cleaning up the perception that most sports that we adore in this country, that people buy tickets to and support, they support primarily because at some level, they can see themselves in that player. They can see themselves in that team, in that sport. The vast majority of America does not look at NASCAR and see themselves in that culture. It is primarily viewed as a Southern redneck men's sport. Now, I've been to numerous sporting events where there may be women not even with any men at the sporting event. All the women came out just to watch the game. Like the time the big girl jumped on me in the in the box when we went to the Lynx game. It was all women at that event. So you don't see groups of women going to NASCAR races because they feel like it's a so what I'm saying is, if you made the sport more appealing to women, maybe there's a group of guys that will go, man, this ain't real NASCAR, and you lose that 200 tickets, but you gain another 3,000.
You have to look at sports like this. It's like Chick-fil-A. They specialize in one thing.
Right.
So NASCAR, I don't think is ever going to take the fever of the country.
Right.
Because the businessman, he's above that. He wants to play, racquetball and lacrosse.
Right.
So your best bet is to feed to the people who like your sport.
Right. The
Just
core audience.
The core audience. Keep getting
audience.
them out.
Right.
And it's like I'm saying with football. The core audience of football are men who want to see that physicality on the field. No, they don't want somebody to get crippled for life or can't remember their kids at 50, but they do want to see that hard-hitting aggression, always teetering on, we're about to get into a real fight.
But what about
that
them
was the
bringing women?
heroes of, excuse me?
What about them bringing women into the sport? Some men feel like women shouldn't be allowed to be in certain particular sports, like football.
Well, the women crowd is becoming huge in sports.
In everything.
Because they follow their men.
If you want to keep them, you better.
They follow their men. They try to find out where the men are. So they're not growing because they like the sport so much as it is going to sporting events have become kind of like an event. They come to the tailgate because they realize that it's fun.
Absolutely.
They come to the games because they see that the event is fun and not because they so much worry about the talent that's on the court or the field.
And I also think say for racing, a woman is in racing like Danica Patrick, but the results that she's been getting sort of lends to defend the argument of the guys that go, see, that's why women shouldn't be racing. She got in NASCAR and she's not really doing anything noteworthy, so she should have never been in NASCAR
never been a part of it
in the first place. Right. So I think if more women were winning more in certain, now football on the NFL level, I don't see women playing at all.
I don't participate that, but I do play flag football.
But in NASCAR also, Danica is in the car.
Yeah, she's in the car.
Right.
So the women don't actually get to see her.
Right.
Until, especially if you're at the race.
Right.
You saw her maybe get in the car.
Right.
And then you saw her, if she maybe get out the car. Other than that, you only heard her name.
Right.
It's the number 28 car, number 25 car. It's not like you actually see her. Now, if you're at home, ABC, NBC, Fox, ESPN, they may clip over to her.
Right.
Because they put the cameras in the cars now. But I see where they were trying to go, promoting her to bring in the female.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that NASCAR was lacking. I'm like Kenny, when I've driven by, it's just as many women at the NASCAR events,
and everybody's got a motorhome, and it looks like it's thriving, but unless you're actually counting the bottom line, you really don't know what they're dealing with.
Right. So,
because I can't see where the NBA suffering from money, and they swear that they don't have.
And I think as Fireball was kind of saying that you're going to have to feed to your audience, and your audience is most of the southern states, the Midwest, and you have to give them that bad boy Richard Petty. Never takes off his shade with the cowboy hat and the big, that's what they want to see.
Right.
And that's who comes out to your,
That's who butters your bread.
And you're
going to have to ride with that group.
Because 57,000 seats empty is a lot of seats.
It's muy malo. That is not good at all.
We're going to go to break. When we come back, I have a funny story for the two of you.
Yay.
Yeah, about Firehouse Subs.
It's Monday, people. Let's
We'll be
get up.
back after this.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next. And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
I'll beat that. Oh. Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
I did a show for women's. I did a show for women's sensitivity training, and that's the song I came out on.
There's nothing sensitive about that song.
It was real strange. They looked at me kind of funny, but
we'd like to welcome a new affiliate to the Sports Jock Show, WQLS 90.5 FM, The Q, over in Camden, Alabama. We air over there Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time. That's Central Time, WQLS 90.5 FM, The Q, Camden, Alabama.
The Q.
Yeah, we moving on up on the Sports Jock Show.
Gotta love it.
Trying to go everywhere. There is a funny story I have for you two.
Yes. Please do share with us.
I don't know if you two have heard this about the peeping Tom at the Firehouse Subs. Have y'all heard this story?
Wait.
It sounds vaguely familiar.
No, I haven't heard. I mean,
sounds familiar.
And I'm just trying to put all of the different all the different variables in the equation. Firehouse Subs, peeping Tom. Please, break down the details for me. Help me keep up.
Well, this 55-year-old man, Stephen Rogue, was at Firehouse Sub. You know, the sandwich is a little sweet for me, but they are kind of tasty.
Right.
And he's sitting at his table.
Mm-hmm.
In the sub shop, and you know, sub sandwich places are pretty small.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he takes his cell phone out and slides it underneath the lady who's in line at the cash register dress and begins taking him some photos underneath her skirt. And unfortunately for him, sounds like a good idea. There's an undercover police officer ordering his sandwich as well
at the same time, and sees him doing this. Now he's 55 years old. I can't enforce this, and this is here in Atlanta, which is the booty shaking capital of maybe the world, where they will show you their childhood dreams for $1.
And Stephen, if you didn't know, from 12 p.m. to 7 at most strip clubs in Atlanta, you can go for free. You know, it ain't even no cover charge. You could have got.
It's a 2-drink minimum.
You know, just walk up in there,
and
they actually serve food at most of these places.
And if you lazy, you can just go on Craigslist and have a girl stop by the house for the low. God. They take credit cards and everything.
So he over in Forsyth County, he takes the pictures. The undercover officer sees him. And this is a serious charge for any of you people out there that are thinking about this. They charged him with what did they charge him with? $11,000 bond. Right there lets you know that this isn't one of those walk away crimes. You know, it's not like it was $2,000 bond. This is an $11,000 bond he had.
And it's a sexual offense.
Correct.
So if he's found guilty, he may have to register as a sex offender.
So they charged him with one count of peeping Tom. I didn't even know it was a crime.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was on the books.
And one count of unlawful surveillance.
Wow.
So
They
that
took
means
his
that
phone.
if you're going to do this, you got to let the lady know, listen, I'm going to look up under your skirt and I'm going to take pictures. I don't know what I'm going to do with
Or
them.
just do it the old-fashioned way. Set up a tripod, and hey, let's make a movie.
Now, my problem with the story for Stephen is $11,000 bond. You're in jail for something you got to explain at least to somebody, your parent, your brother, your uncle, who got to come bail you out. That one unlawful surveillance. You how do you know whether she has panties on? Because $11,000 to be in jail for a woman's
Don't look up under my
private
skirt.
part, and she has on panties.
Listen,
Don't look up under mine.
It's like really. It's like come on, man. You went through this.
I'm just saying, in sympathy to him.
No, I don't have any sympathy for him.
I'm saying cops are never around when you need them. The one time he did not need a cop, he happened to be not in a donut shop, but in a sub shop getting a sandwich. And I remember once being in a McDonald's. It was right after they had closed. So it's me and my brother sitting there eating.
Right after they closed?
Yeah.
Y'all was in a McDonald's.
Listen, man,
Something
we
sounds
walked in.
I thought you said it was closed.
They were getting ready to close. We were like the last people that they served. We were the last people they served. We're sitting at a table. There's two people, two gentlemen sitting at a table, and some guys cleaning up. So 4 people in the restaurant that are customers. All of a sudden, 2 of the guys that work there start talking. One of them pulls out a bag of weed, sells it to the other guy. The guy goes, man, these look big. Give me another one. Just as he said that, the other 2 people in the restaurant look at him and go, are you guys stupid? Reach in their pockets and pull out badges, dude.
Dumbest criminals.
And then they go get your manager. And he goes, you got to find somebody else to work here because these guys are stupid and they're going to jail. And I was like, man, you never know who's who.
That's true.
So, I mean,
and they help you and your friend out because it sounded like y'all was about to rob the place.
Hey, I'm telling you, we's about to either be the next customers or the dudes robbing the place. And me and my brother would have went to jail. So, yeah, I'm glad
They
they were
bailed you
stupid.
out.
I'm glad they were stupid in advance. You know what I'm saying? Before I had a chance to do something crazy.
So Firehouse subs, ladies, keep your legs together.
Or wear shorts.
Or, go to Subway or something. We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show. We're going to talk about the Peachtree Road Race. We'll be back.
Questions, comments, observations, 888-926-7562, thesportsjoc.com.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Psst. Hey, over here.
What?
Right here, on the side of the house.
Who said that?
Look down. I'm right at your feet.
Wait, the basketball?
Yes, the basketball. Right down here, where the kids left me a long time ago. Man, you know how lonely it is being a ball and not being able to bounce or roll?
Excuse me?
Remember when you got me for the kids? You said, now kids, you have no excuse not to go outside and play.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I'll miss flying through the air and hearing the shouts of joy when I swish through the basket. What do you say? Could you give me a little air and remind the kids of how fun I still am?
Okay. Oh, wow. You are flat.
Easy, I'm ticklish. Let's get bouncing.
As Native American parents and caregivers, our encouragement to healthy lifestyles for our kids is helping them get outside and play. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov/Indian Country. Brought to you by USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. Here in Atlanta last Wednesday, the 4th of July, the Atlanta Constitution Journal had their 43rd Peachtree Road Race, 6.2 miles down the famous Peachtree Street, which everybody outside of Atlanta always asks me about. How many peach trees are there? It's like
several hundred.
Right.
Hey, it's a peach tree everything.
But only one that really counts. You know what I mean?
Right. we had our annual race. 50,000 plus runners showed
That's
up.
a lot of people.
I told you it was a lot of porta potties out there.
Right. I think the official number of porta potties is something like 11,000.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot. I know it was about 10,000 right around my block.
Right,
Like how many people going to the bathroom?
Right. In the middle of running. Maybe that's why they all show up running looking for a porta potty.
But 6.2 miles
and what
they
was
went.
one of the
and
hottest days
it was 100 and some degrees, 103
ever in world
and
history.
they still had 8 of the top 10 finishes were by Kenyans for the men, and 3 of the top 10 Kenyan runners won the female side.
Right.
Lady from Ethiopia, Matu Daska, 28, ran it in 32 minutes and 22 seconds, and Peter Karui, I want to say, 24, Kenyan, won the male, 27 minutes and 37 seconds.
They asked the female runner, what does she think helped her pull off a win in the Peachtree Road race? And she said it was really hot, and she likes running when it's really hot.
Is that what she said?
He was like, it's really hot. Now I like running when it's really hot, and other people don't.
And they they have wheelchair.
Yeah,
I think they take off first in the wheelchairs, and then the runners, because they finish obviously quicker.
Right.
Especially when they go down one of those hills.
Yeah, because they're rolling down a hill. They ought to be going faster.
So I think the time I read was like the winning finisher was like 19 minutes. So they're going at a faster pace as you said, on wheels.
And in our region, it's a super huge deal, especially in the Atlanta area. So watching the coverage of the Peachtree Road race, I was amazed that they were interviewing the winners of the men's and women's races, and people were still starting at the starting line of the road race. Like, so an hour after the race is over for the winners, these people are just getting started, and it's getting hotter and hotter, and you got people out there in costumes running, you know what I mean?
The flag and all that. But it's becoming a huge event, though.
It's becoming a really
when you
huge
start
event.
saying 57,000 people show up for something,
and 11,000 porta potties.
Right,
That's a lot.
It's a big event, and I'm quite sure the city of Atlanta is definitely glad that they started this 43 years ago. I did send the bad producer out and catch a couple comments for some of the racers. He asked them, I don't know what he asked them. He did say he was out there. I don't think he participated in it. That's what I was hoping he said, that he was out there doing it. But something tells me he was standing close to a porta potty.
Really quick, just look at this dude. Look at him.
All smiles, right?
Racing, stop.
Yeah,
Really?
He's ran at least a mile in his life.
In his life, at least.
At least 1 mile.
A mile.
Yes.
At least.
1 mile.
1 mile.
At least.
Let's hear what they had to say.
Taking it to the streets for the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy, Conway Twitty. I have with me
Bert Bloomston, Birmingham, Alabama.
All right, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Okay, you just took part of the annual 4th of July 10K race here in Atlanta, the Peachtree Road race. How many times have you did it, and what makes you come out and continue to do that?
I've done it 33 times. I enjoy being on the streets of Atlanta on July 4th, and this year I've done it with my granddaughter, and that made it even more exciting. Remember, folks, keep that smile on your face throughout the day, and many more friends will come your way.
A dude from Alabama that says he did it with his granddaughter. Why am I not surprised? Why?
But you can see how it's becoming a family
33 years
affair that people really are starting to. This is big in this country.
33 years.
I'm always happy, just like when I reported I went out to the kickball game. It's so good to see us getting back to some of the things that made the United States the United States.
Right.
You would think by now, everybody wants to play cards on the computer, and I'm playing some dude in poker in Iowa, and it's like,
that's not fun.
Where are your real friends
Human
at?
interaction.
You don't have a friend that you can call over and play cards with. You got to play
with a dude in Iowa.
Some 9-year-old that's playing around on his dad's computer in Iowa. So
okay, so am I wrong that I let my kids play dominoes with me?
No.
I'm teaching them how to play dominoes strategically so that whenever they, play with their friends.
Do you know how socially ostracized your kids would be if they showed up at a party and didn't know how to play dominoes? People would think they were federal agents.
But they're little.
These dudes
little.
Undercover shouting, no, bro. They with the people right now.
That's when they say, don't you know who my mom is?
Yeah.
Let's see what someone else had to say about the Peachtree Road Race.
Taking it to the streets for the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy, Conway Twitty, and I think I see my youngest participants in the big race, not the junior race, but for the world's biggest 10K Peachtree Road Race. I have with me
Catherine, John.
What made you two youngsters run and participate in the biggest race on the 4th of July?
Well, my brother was going to do it, and my parents were going to do it, and I didn't really want to do it. I wanted to do the junior, but so I did it because everybody else is doing it.
Well, I've done the junior for a couple times, and I just thought that I should move up because it would have been the last year that I did the junior, and I'm also a really good runner, so it was pretty easy.
So Mom and Dad, y'all twisted her arm to make her do the big race.
Yeah, we told her she needed to get the T-shirt.
The T-shirt, that's what it's all about, the T-shirt.
How old were they? 9 and 12.
And I guess he's saying that's the last year, so when you're 13, you have to run the real race. Oh, okay.
And listen to the parents like, yeah, we forced her to run because we needed a T-shirt.
Right, and they had some cream-colored T-shirt that when you finish you get, which is always
the
you don't get it at the beginning, so you got to run in your own clothes.
Right.
And until you get to the finish line, and that's when you get the Peachtree T-shirt.
Road Race T-shirt. And one of the things about the Peachtree Road Race is Atlanta's a very active city on the 4th of July. There's a lot of outdoor events and festivals going on all over town, and people who run the race wear their T-shirts out, and it's their gold medal. It's their Olympic moment. When you see someone in their Peachtree Road Race T-shirt, you know that they've accomplished the road race on the 4th of July, and it's a really big
it's
thing.
the same feeling I had when I learned that they only sell that Masters stuff at the Masters.
Right,
and when I found that out, it's like I look at the symbol different because I know either you went or someone you knew went
and to the Masters.
They must like you because this stuff is very expensive.
Right. Their champagne glasses are crazy.
So
speaking of which, you gave us beautiful visors from the Masters, and I'm afraid to wear mine now. I don't wear it. I have a hat rack at home, and it just sits there
So
like
what
in
he's
plastic.
saying is don't buy him any more visors.
I'm just
I'm
saying
you just know your uncle every day.
No, I'm saying it's such a beautiful, authentic piece of sports memorabilia that I don't want to be out like at the strip club and forget about it. You know what I mean? I done had 9 shots of vodka and some tequila, and now it's at the park somewhere. It's valuable to me, which is why I want to keep it in pristine condition.
Suck up.
Yeah.
Suck up.
Let's see what somebody else had to say about
Taking it to the streets for the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy, Conway Twitty, and I'm at the Peachtree Road Race, the world's biggest 10K road race, and just finished up here on the 4th of July. Why do you participate in that?
15 years. I'm 65 years old, and I do it for my heart. So far, my heart will be in good condition for another year.
And are you locally here in Atlanta, or do you
live in Covington, Georgia?
Okay. And you, ma'am?
Yes, I've been doing the Peachtree Road Race. This is my 5th year. 4 years I walked it. This year I ran. And I do it for the women who think they can't do it. I'm 51 years old, and I'm doing the Peachtree Road Race. And I knew that other women can do it too. I'm also doing it for my health. Also, I love it. Come join us next year in 2013.
And it seems to be the sentiment of a lot of people. They love the challenge.
Right.
And I think, and I'm very excited to talk about this because this is something as a kid I remember my mom taking me, and her friends played softball.
Right.
And it was just, we grew up in the street with a water hose, jumping rope, and any kind of ball could be the ball. Whatever ball we got that can be inflated, we'll play something with it.
And
and it built community where we cared and we watched after each other. And in this day, I just can't stress enough.
But
when
now,
my friends come to my house, they're playing Scrabble against somebody in Honolulu. And it's like, really?
But that's why I do what I do with my kids, because I want them to be able to say, my mom took time out with me. I'm not so busy that I cannot spend time with them. So.
And it teaches them social skills as well.
Social skills.
It teaches them. And then it's a great sense of accomplishment. It doesn't matter what you do in your regular life. A good friend of mine, Marshall Childs, who's a talent. He owns comedy clubs, promotes, very accomplished guy, ran it for the first time this year and was so excited to run it. I mean, this is a dude that, should feel pretty good about himself, but doing this made him feel that much better. So,
yeah. And so many different people. I think that's when I read the paper and looked at the different countries and cities that were represented, it's just a melting pot of bringing people together. So
48 of 50 states represented.
Yeah, Peachtree Road Race next year, 4th of July. So you can't forget. We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show after this.
Wyoming and North Dakota, get on board.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Psst. Hey, over here.
What?
Right here, on the side of the house.
Who said that?
Look down. I'm right at your feet.
Wait, the basketball?
Yes, the basketball. Right down here, where the kids left me a long time ago. Man, you know how lonely it is being a ball and not being able to bounce or roll?
Excuse me?
Remember when you got me for the kids? You said, now kids, you have no excuse not to go outside and play.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I'll miss flying through the air and hearing the shouts of joy when I swish through the basket. What do you say? Could you give me a little air and remind the kids of how fun I still am?
Okay. Oh, wow. You are flat.
Easy, I'm ticklish. Let's get bouncing.
As Native American parents and caregivers, our encouragement to healthy lifestyles for our kids is helping them get outside and play. Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov/Indian Country. Brought to you by USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
And now back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. Wimbledon is over. Some familiar names taking home the grand prize. Serena Williams in 3 sets wins her 5th Wimbledon singles title. A great match. She dominated with her serve once again, which she did this whole tournament. She went up 6-1 and won the first set. She was up big 4-2 in the second, and kind of looked like she got emotional. And the closer it got to winning, she kind of fell off part there for a while, and then closing out in the third set to take on her 5th Wimbledon. It was great to see her. To me, this probably was her sweetest. She's battled injuries, blood clots. She had 2 surgeries on her foot for when she cut it with some glass. This is her 14th major title.
She had that first round elimination. Was it at the U.S. Open that she just got? She had eliminated in the first round. So
and she really showed a lot of character when I watched her, because I kept waiting for her serve to fail her, and you could just tell she was in a zone. I mean, some points were just 1, 2, 3, 4, your serve. It was just like that. She was acing consecutively. It wasn't just like one ace. It was like 3 or 4 in a row, and she really dominated. She beat Azarenka, who was number 2 in the semifinals, and then she went on to beat this Agnes Radwanski, who was number 3 in the world. Her great shining moment. The Williams sisters won the doubles.
The doubles, right.
A little later that day, to win their 5th title at Wimbledon in doubles with Venus, who also has been diagnosed with some kind of illness that makes her tired quicker. So some of you who've been watching Venus play over the last year or two, there's something where her energy level
It's being affected.
It's being affected by her play. But it was good to see Serena run up in the stands and
she
see
was,
Richard up there.
She was the only 30-something to win Wimbledon since I think it's
Navratilova.
Martina Navratilova,
yes.
Which was back in the 70s, I believe.
No, she did it in 1990.
Okay, I mean, name like Martina Navratilova, it's sort of like Joe Barry Carroll. You know what I'm saying? Wow, that dude's still in sports. So, but yeah, that just goes to show you how elite of an athlete you have to be. Is that 30-somethings don't win at Wimbledon? I mean, so you know.
So you mean to tell me if I go to Wimbledon and I play my all, I'm just not gonna win? So I shouldn't even go.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I mean, what I'm saying,
y'all are crazy. On the men's side, Roger Federer, he'll be 31 at the end of the year. He took home his 7th Wimbledon title. Tying Pete Sampras for most Wimbledons with 7, his 17th major. He said it was sweet for him as well because it's been his first time in 2 years that he's won a major title. And he says at this advanced age, it's getting harder and harder to keep up. The one thing I did love about this Wimbledon, and I don't know if some of you have seen Outside the Lines when they were talking about the grunting.
Right.
It was a quiet Wimbledon. There was a couple of grunts here and there that seemed very genuine and natural and not something from a practice that you've been using. But I watched the Outside the Line report, and the president of the Tennis Association said that on the female side, they were going to start trying to pass legislation for not the current players, because they feel like trying to ask them to do that at this point could throw their game off. But the juniors coming up, that they're going to have more of a noise rule.
Noise discipline?
Well,
they don't. They can't do that.
Well, it's more like a not a
Hold on, let me practice.
And it's very, very.
Let's hear your tennis, Miss Desire.
I haven't played tennis since I was in. I don't even know.
Obviously,
yes.
Yeah, but there is. I guess a lot of fans have complained about the noise.
And see, there we go once again. Once you start cleaning it up, who's going to buy
the tickets?
Well, who's going to buy the tickets?
Well, a lot of the players also have complained that they're okay with the grunting, but each time you hit the ball,
the battle cries.
Yeah. I mean, and some of them go from to like they hit the ball harder. And Martina said Monica Seles beat her one time, and she said she was so in tune to hearing the ball even hit the racket that when Monica would do that little scream, she couldn't hear the noise of the racket.
Right.
And she said she had been trained to kind of see what kind of ball you hit from hearing the noise off the racket, which I thought was like, wow, she was really into it.
Training.
So, but it was a great Wimbledon, a lot of good matches. Andy Murray even broke down in tears representing Britain. They haven't won a title in 76 years.
Whatever. Dude's crying.
Dudes can cry in sports.
Okay,
man.
Did he lose?
Yeah,
ain't no crying when you lose, bro. Ain't no crying when you lose.
At least
you can cry when you win.
At least he didn't cry to his mama like Kevin Durant.
Hey, you can cry when you win. There's no crying when you lose.
We'll be back talking a little NFL after this break.
888-926-7562.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Over 13 million people are affected by famine, war, and drought in the Horn of Africa. Unfortunately, just listening to this commercial won't help them. Just listening won't give them their next meal, or shelter, or hope. You can help by texting GIVE to 777-444 to donate $10 and by going to usaid.gov/FWD to forward the facts. Brought to you by the Ad Council and USAID. Text donations go directly to Consortium of Humanitarian Relief Organizations. Standard text and data rates apply.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. Before we talk about the happenings in the NFL, as you know, the Sports Jock doesn't do rumor, but Miss Desire has found an interesting story. This is not associated with the Sports Jock Show in any way, and I would just like to. There'll be a $75,000 fine for any.
I'm simply stating that on Weekly World News that Drake he has proposed to Serena Williams. So he is off limits, ladies and fellas. Look but don't touch.
And now, I don't think that her reporting that Weekly World News reported that Serena and Drake are engaged could get us in trouble. Mm-hmm. Me saying that it's because she's pregnant is going to be what gets us fined. Okay, and they're going to have an alien baby. That's what's going to get us in trouble.
That's what's going to get us off there.
That's what gets that's what got my microphone cut off. That's,
God, mine too.
Yeah.
Well, NFL report. Raiders former defensive end Anthony Smith, the guy that I actually played against when he back in the 90s, has been arrested once again on suspicion of a series of murders that they keep digging up people and saying that Anthony
murder digging up people.
Wayne hit him so hard he had to go and start killing people.
And I was trying to think when I was reading the story, like, is this Anthony Smith? Why do I know Anthony Smith? And it kept coming back, like, is this Anthony Smith number 94? Like, I almost start seeing the guy on the field, and it's like they keep him and his brother. They kidnapped some people. And they found some Big Kenny. You were telling me, I'm totally lost with Anthony Smith right now.
He's been giving you the eye or something.
You know, they picked some people off the Interstate 5, and it was Anthony Smith fingerprints.
Oh my God!
What actually happened in this case?
It says he's already under suspicion for a murder. He's awaiting a retrial for a murder 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he was charged this week with 3 additional murders, including the slayings of 2 brothers who prosecutors say were kidnapped and robbed by men posing as police officers. Now, most recent charges paint a portrait of a man that they say turned to crime. And, you know, I guess these are some drug-related or otherwise robbery-related murders. And the siblings were kidnapped from a car wash in Los Angeles by 2 men posing as police officers, and they were later found shot to death. Spokeswoman for the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office said that the victims' bodies were dumped about 8 miles apart from one another. And he was also charged in June 2001 with the killing of Dennis Henderson, who along with another man was kidnapped in Los Angeles by several gunmen. And the victims were put in separate cars, and while the other man was let go, Henderson's body was found in a rental car and had been beaten and stabbed.
Now, this is Anthony Smith, and I played against Anthony Smith. You telling me he was killing people? This is the Anthony Smith that was married to Vanity?
Yeah, I think that
is this the real? Is this that Anthony Smith?
If that don't drive you to kill people, I don't know what will. You know what I'm saying? I used to have Vanity, now she's gone.
Well, because we used to, we used to give him kudos.
Right.
Did you married to Vanity?
Did you ever like crack
he
a
could
joke?
Play, and he could play football. He could ball.
Did you ever crack a joke on him and think like, man, I used to tease that dude and he was a straight up killer? You know what I'm saying? I can't believe
it does make you step back. Like, man, he might have been taking this stuff personal.
But that's what goes to say when you never know what somebody is going through. So treat them how you want to be treated.
Well, I mean,
and anything.
Well, I was on a football field.
And you should have beat him to death. But I'm saying off field, you might have wanted to rethink that.
And now, I think I may have just spoke some improper information when I said I believe they were drug robberies. It says that they were robberies, but they don't know what the motive was behind the robbery. So I don't know if they were just, robbing dudes for what they had on them, or if they had targeted these guys. But
that's what keeping it real goes back.
Having been around the streets, I know that generally groups of men don't kidnap other groups of people randomly.
Correct.
It's usually something that has been planned.
Yeah, well, I know he was a good player. He was a first-round pick in like 1990.
Right.
He was a couple years older than me, and he could rush the passer, play the run, and it's sad to see this kind of case. And hopefully,
aren't you glad you got a radio show? If it wasn't for that, we'd be at the car wash right now. Like, y'all know what this is, shout it. Y'all know what this is.
Get up.
Get up. Everybody shout.
But it wasn't even like that. From what they're saying that they were actually tortured. That these victims were tortured. So
which is usually to take me to the money or the dope or something like that.
Make you confess something.
Right. Either that or this is just a really sick dude with
you
a really sick
never know.
with really sick friend.
Well, I'm not gonna come kill y'all or cut y'all up in little pieces or anything.
You could still tie me up though.
You might like that too much.
I mean, you ain't got to cut me, but you could still put the ropes on my wrist.
Some other news, head coach of the Saints, who's been suspended, Sean Payton, him and his wife are divorcing. I guess she didn't like
when the money run out.
I guess she ain't like the bounty cases either.
When the money run out, she got to go too, Sean. I got to stay in shoes.
I was also reading that the owner of the Eagles, him and his wife, are about to divorce, which is always interesting when the heavyweights get divorced to see who comes out on top. That's what put the Dodgers in the trouble they were in. That's how they ended up being sold, because the owner and his wife were getting a divorce. And they had to split that up. So that's how Magic Johnson stepped in, and him and his group were able to buy the Dodgers. So we'll see how the Eagles pan out with the owner going through a divorce.
She'll get the team in the next year. They'll be wearing pink all year long.
The Philly fans won't like that at all.
No.
They love to kill their athletes up there. So I'm quite sure she changed them colors. The streets will be red. But we have some other NFL news that we're going to discuss. Mrs. Zire, you look like you were about to say something.
No, I was just going to say something about mistresses. That's all. It's all right. It's not important.
Hold on, girl. Don't you say too much on this show.
Did anybody say anything about a mistress?
No,
we
you said divorce.
That's all we said. We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show.
Go to commercial. Hurry.
When I get through throwing it on you, you got to come back for more. Them things that come by the dozen, that ain't nothing but drugs, no love. Hey, little thing, let me light your candle, cause the mama, I'm sure all the hand and I just around.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next. Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Honey, I'm home. I've got a surprise for you.
Get that filthy, disgusting tire out of my living room. You're on my favorite rug.
Calm down. You're gonna love this.
What?
Whoa.
The goldfish bowl.
I won't run over them. Relax.
You roll that tire right back out of here.
Relax. It's all part of my master plan to save us money.
This is not going to be our coffee table. Don't even think about putting a piece of glass on top.
No, honey. This is a reminder to keep our tires properly inflated so we can save money on gas.
Can't we just tie a string around our fingers?
Sweetie, properly inflated tires could save us more money at the pump than a week's worth of gas.
You're getting tire tracks on my love seat.
Exactly. To remind us that we love saving gas with properly inflated tires.
What's wrong with the sticky note on the dashboard?
Discover smarter ways to save hundreds of dollars on gas and help the environment, too, at the Alliance to Save Energy's website, drivesmarterchallenge.org.
Hey, let's put the sticky note on the tire.
Hi, we're talking to real smokers about quitting. Tell me when you smoke and why you smoke.
Eat, cigarette, kids, cigarette, dinner, another cigarette.
One on my way to lunch, one after lunch.
And another cigarette, and another cigarette.
Have you tried to quit?
Yes. I become angry.
It ain't that easy. You can't just quit cold turkey. I tried.
What would you do different?
Actually having a plan and thinking it through.
You have to relearn how to live your life without a cigarette in your hand.
With the right plan, you can quit smoking. Free at becomeanx.org. X, a new way to think about quitting. Brought to you by X and the Ad Council.
I'm Ed Smart, father of a child who was abducted.
I'm John Walsh. Like Ed, I also know the terror of having a child who was kidnapped. But now we have wonderful technology to aid in this battle.
It's called the Amber Alert. It's an early notification system to the public when every second counts.
Amber Alert is a partnership. We want to thank you, the public, broadcasters, transportation, and law enforcement. Amber Alert really works.
And now, back to the sports jock, Wayne Gandy.
How do you feel coming up as a king in a cash game, living in a fast lane?
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. A lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its pants on. A lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to get its pants on. That is a quote from Adrian Peterson. He tweeted that after his incident this past week in Houston. He was in a Houston nightclub on Saturday in which it took 3 undercover off-duty police officers to subdue him. He's claiming that the story that the officer is telling about him pushing him and resisting arrest are false, and he just wanted his fans to know that. He wanted you to wait. The truth will surface, as he said in his tweet. Big Kenny, Mr. Zaire, in this case, something tells me I'm going to stand with Adrian on this. Being an athlete, especially of his stature, he's the running back of the Vikings, all world, all everything, out of Oklahoma. He hurt his knee last year with about 4 or 5 games left. Adrian, he sets the standard in this time of what running backs are on the field. Something tells me, Big Kenny, that this is one of those police officer working for the club for some overtime incidents. It's late in the morning. I come over, I tell you something. Either you didn't hear me or you don't care. I leave, I come back, as this story says. I don't see Adrian just going right to the push. Something tells me you maybe grabbed him on the shoulder and turned him around, because I've seen this before. Different people, different place, but I have seen this before. He turns around, Adrian pushes, possibly. And in any instance, I don't know if you're there as a bouncer. I don't know you're undercover police.
They said he identified himself, and they said Adrian Peterson. It's alleged that he said, "I heard you the first time when you said that you were a cop." Now, I don't know what kind of disciplinary
I heard
action.
you the first time that you said leave.
Leave, right. Maybe not the first. They say Adrian is saying he never identified himself as a police officer. Now, I'm sure there's going to be some involvement by the Minnesota Vikings, some sort of investigation to see if any disciplinary action is needed. Minnesota Vikings, let me say to you, Adrian Peterson has a hurt knee, and it still took 3 cops to bring him down. You are in need of this man this season. Trust me, you don't have any room to be trying to bench this dude for roughing up a few cops at a sports bar. Let him play.
And we all have been out, and I always tell people when I've done any kind of function, or I tell them, have the officers wear their uniform, because I don't care what you say, the rent-a-cop in a polo shirt with a gun, I think you just hired him from some rental-cop place.
And he's got security on his shirt.
When you see that it's an actual officer,
you get more respect.
And you already know, well, he going to take me to the back of the car. He ain't going to call nobody. You know, he has that kind of power. It sets a tone.
And then officers, on top of having a greater level of respect from the public that they're policing, also are confined to a certain level of conduct as professional officers. I was in Minneapolis, Minnesota this past weekend for the 78th Grand Conclave of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And, you know, I performed a show there with my good friend Joe Torre. We did the Cues of Comedy, and afterwards we had a after party, and we're going into the VIP section, and there's a security dude standing there. And I have some people with me, and one of the young ladies that is with the party that I'm with, I guess he didn't think looked like she should have been with us. And he gave her like this really angry, sort of aggressive, you know, you can't go. And if he were a policeman, he would have had to conduct himself a lot better. But because he was a security dude, he let his personal feelings get involved.
Correct.
And I had to get him fired. Well, I don't think he got fired, but he got pulled off of VIP detail. So, you know, some of these guys, even though they have the authority as a law-abiding or as a law officer, they take it too far.
Correct.
When you're in your uniform, you have to conduct
and I just know
differently.
that Adrian Peterson, young guy, 27, 28 years old, he showed a lot of poise on the field. This is actually his first incident that I've heard of really off the field. His dad, I know, was in trouble when he was in college. His dad was incarcerated most of his college career, but he has exemplified what the NFL really shows. I doubt, like I'm saying, if he had turned around to a actual police uniform,
right,
you just act different.
Right.
Is that not true? When you turn around,
I know I do.
I do.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay.
It depends on the situation, though.
But usually, you got to understand. Usually, when I see police uniforms, there are also blue lights and drawn weapons accompanying.
Mine are not always that specific.
There's usually
you heard the
right. and they're always definitely identifying themselves. DEA, don't move. You know what I'm saying? It's always, they're very clear as to why
what
they're there.
Yo,
I've never been confused.
I gotta say this, y'all. TMZ has Adrian Peterson's mugshot. It's called the Smiley mugshot on TMZ. He is like, yeah, I did that.
Because he's smiling, thinking like, it took 3 of them to bring me down. I'm back, baby. I'm going for 1,200 yards this season.
Adrian Peterson, Minnesota Vikings. When we come back, I have to tell you about a new rapper in town. We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show after this.
Sports.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Honey, I'm home. I've got a surprise for you.
Get that filthy, disgusting tire out of my living room. You're on my favorite rug.
Calm down. You're going to love this.
What?
Whoa.
The goldfish bowl.
I won't run over them. Relax.
You roll that tire right back out of here.
Relax. It's all part of my master plan to save us money.
This is not going to be our coffee table. Don't even think about putting a piece of glass on top.
No, honey. This is a reminder to keep our tires properly inflated so we can save money on gas.
Can't we just tie a string around our fingers?
Sweetie, properly inflated tires could save us more money at the pump than a week's worth of gas.
You're getting tire tracks on my love seat.
Exactly. To remind us that we love saving gas with properly inflated tires.
What's wrong with the sticky note on the dashboard?
Discover smarter ways to save hundreds of dollars on gas and help the environment too at the Alliance to Save Energy's website, drivesmarterchallenge.org.
Hey, let's put the sticky note on the tire.
Hi, we're talking to real smokers about quitting. Tell me when you smoke and why you smoke.
Eat, cigarette, kids, cigarette, dinner, another cigarette,
One on my way to lunch, one after lunch.
and another cigarette, and another cigarette.
Have you tried to quit?
Yes, I become angry.
It ain't that easy. You can't just quit cold turkey. I tried.
What would you do different?
Actually having a plan and thinking it through.
You have to relearn how to live your life without a cigarette in your hand.
With the right plan, you can quit smoking. Free at becomeanx.org. X, a new way to think about quitting. Brought to you by X and the Ad Council.
I'm Ed Smart, father of a child who was abducted.
I'm John Walsh. Like Ed, I also know the terror of having a child who was kidnapped. But now we have wonderful technology to aid in this battle.
It's called the Amber Alert. It's an early notification system to the public when every second counts.
Amber Alert is a partnership. We want to thank you, the public, broadcasters, transportation, and law enforcement. Amber Alert really works.
And now, back to the sports jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. If you like hip-hop music, there's an NFL star that has made a new track for you. Call it Run It Back. Stevie Johnson of the Buffalo Bills, the famed wide receiver that I'm quite sure at some point last season I threw in the ocean for something. I mean, he keeps some antics going.
Please, God.
Stevie Johnson has a new rap song out and has a video for it if some of you want to pull it up.
Oh, my.
He's on with The Game. And it actually, Big Kenny, Miss Desire, is an okay track. I mean,
I
wanted not to like it, but it had a nice beat. Stevie seemed like he's 24 years old, so I'm quite sure he's
current.
He's current. He seems to have the flair for the music, Big Kenny.
Listen, man, I'm hoping beyond no, please don't get me wrong. I'm hoping beyond all hope that he is at least credible when it comes to music. But if he is, there's been a litany of sports stars that imagine that somewhere along the way when they were snatching rebounds or running touchdowns that they became singers or actors or both.
But
then they get out there and they come up with "Must Be the Money" and everybody's like, really? Dude, come on. I mean, it's all right. It's a novelty, but you're not about to break into the top 100.
But it's not just athletes. It's movie stars. It's people in the adult world.
Stay in your lane.
But,
stay in your lane.
Well, some people, you can't have two talents.
I have several.
Stevie, that's what I'm saying. When I listened to it, I listened to it about 3 times.
What's his Stevie what?
Stevie Johnson.
Stevie Johnson. Let me Google this.
And it's called Stevie Johnson and Game Run It Back music video.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Maybe the bad producer can find the track. We can play a little bit of it.
And I'm wondering, why don't we have that already pulled up?
And playing.
I know why we don't, because the bad producers on it, right? That's why. There's no need to ask why. You know what I think is fantastic? It's Miss Desire's first day officially here, and she already knows that our producer is bad. She already knows who not to ask for something.
Well, for you that don't know, as I said, Stevie Johnson is the top receiver for the Buffalo Bills.
Like a
He's 24 years old. He's actually married, has a child. Pretty good receiver. Definitely has a bright future if he can stop with the pulling his jersey up and showing his T-shirts every time he scores a touchdown. But Stevie has made a rap video and a rap song with The Game, which is a very credible rapper to even get to do a song with you. It's not like he did a song with someone that hasn't had a great reputation.
Yeah, but his CD sales have been declining. So if you can get that NFL infusion of cash, but we got to.
So let's see. You have a little piece of that bad producer.
She opened up her shirt like.
Can we hear it?
We can't hear it.
You want to share it with us?
We made a movie, no cam crew, lights, camera, me and you. Yeah, you won last night, but can you keep going? Can you do it all night? Let's go. Go. I'm saying let's go. Go. I'm saying let's go. Run it back like a rematch. I'm saying round 2. I need that. Turn around. Throw it. You won last night, but can you keep going? Let's go. Handle the pressure, baby, like Fizz do. Let me take you to the 7th round. That's the back room. Bad news. I'm motivated. I'm focused on pulling off one of the best assassinations in this presidential. Sweet life. Esperanza, then let me show you the beach life. This is what it be like when you on your Stevie Johnson. So she be on her Stevie Johnson. People watching, but we don't knock it.
That's Stevie Johnson, wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills. His new track with The Game. If you listen to the whole song, you know, it's a decent song. It's not that that Deion stuff. So anything better than that is good. But they did him and Game in the song. They used a lot of sports references.
Right.
So they rap from a sports point of view.
Right.
Even you heard him say, "Handle the pressure like Fitz."
Right.
He was talking about his quarterback Ryan Fitzgerald or Fitzpatrick, excuse me, which. He don't really handle the pressure well. But
I was going to say, there's no credibility in his rhymes.
But at least they used all mostly football references, players and things like that, even when Game does his verse. So I just thought it was good to see that Stevie might have another talent.
And for me to fully get the full effect of the song, I'm going to have to see dollar bills wafting from the air while women
in the background shaking
that
it.
are buck naked dance to it. I mean, that's how I judge all of my music.
Is that how you do it?
But you know what?
If it goes good with naked women, then I like the song.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Well, that's why I said it's.
I was bouncing.
I don't know
you
if
just
him.
Didn't see it.
I don't know if him and Game are friends or what.
I did see that.
That is a very notable person to be able to get your first song with.
Now, I would also like to say, Stevie, I'm giving you props on your new release, but go ahead and fumble 2 times this season, and everybody gonna swear it's because you've been concentrating on the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that is true.
You need to get your arm strength together, brother. This is preseason football. Don't be dropping your brand new CD. You need to get in the gym and get out there and study your playbook. Let's stay focused.
Right. And real quickly, defensive end for the Cleveland Browns, he was Keontae Tripp. He was arrested here in Atlanta, actually, for breaking. Him and his friends were caught in the act of robbing an apartment. I really don't know what's going on in the NFL world. You were actually on a
wait a
money
minute.
Or something?
You play in the NFL and you
Yeah.
actually know somebody that live in an apartment? You know what is with that? None of your friends have
Well,
homes.
It's
the
okay
police
to
caught
live
him
in it, but
going out the back door.
Yeah.
and caught him
Because he can't afford his own laptops and big screen TVs, right?
You know, sometimes you take that keeping it real with your homeboys too far.
Hey, listen.
When you go to robbing apartments and things like that.
that's when keeping it real goes bad.
Any friend of mine that's trying to encourage me to risk all I've worked as hard as I've worked for is no friend of mine.
Not at all.
If you're trying to tell me I'm not real because I'm not willing to rob with you, then I don't need you as a friend.
and
Be
you're-
the lookout.
And you're a defensive end, so
Here, I'll loan you some money.
trying to get in and out of windows is going to be a little tough.
He's stuck. Everybody else get away, but you
Yeah.
stuck in the window. Got to explain this to the police.
So we're going to go to break. We come back. We'll be back with more Sports Talk Show. Going to talk a little NBA in the next hour. Joe Johnson traded from the Hawks to the Brooklyn Nets.
Thought
We'll be
we'd
back
never see the day.
after this.
I hit the hole like Arian. Smooth in the first, by the fourth, I'm tearing it down. Call me Stevie Barbarian.
More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy coming up next.
I'm Ed Smart, father of a child who was abducted.
I'm John Walsh. Like Ed, I also know the terror of having a child who was kidnapped. But now we have wonderful technology to aid in this battle.
It's called the Amber Alert. It's an early notification system to the public when every second counts.
Amber Alert is a partnership. We want to thank you, the public, broadcasters, transportation, and law enforcement. Amber Alert really works.
This moment of uncontrollable laughter was made possible by a 32-year-old man with little to no coordination attempting to execute a simple cartwheel. His name is Sergeant Warner, but young James, our laughing friend here, simply calls him Dad. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hi, we're talking to real smokers about quitting. Tell me when you smoke and why you smoke.
Eat, cigarette, kids, cigarette, dinner, another cigarette,
One on my way to lunch, one after lunch.
and another cigarette, and another cigarette.
Have you tried to quit?
Yes. I become angry.
It ain't that easy. You can't just quit cold turkey. I tried.
What would you do different?
Actually having a plan and thinking it through.
You have to relearn how to live your life without a cigarette in your hand.
With the right plan, you can quit smoking. Free at becomeanx.org. X, a new way to think about quitting. Brought to you by X and the Ad Council.
Look around you. 1 in 4 kids in the U.S. faces hunger. It's not always easy to see the signs, but in this land of plenty, there are kids who don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Share Our Strength and take the pledge to end childhood hunger here in America by 2015. Learn how at NoKidHungry.org. Their next meal could come from you.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy, and keeping in theme with this past 4th of July, Nathan's famous hot dog eating competition happened on the 4th.
I instantly got hungry.
Joey Jaws Chestnut, 28 years old, in 10 minutes ate 68 hot dogs.
That's
he
a lot of hot dogs.
won $10,000.
Oh,
That's
I didn't
too
know they
much.
had the money attached to it.
Yeah,
See?
$10,000. He ate
Everything
68 hot dogs in 10 minutes for the male win. Joey Jaws Chestnut. On the women's side, Sonia the Black Widow Thomas. She's 45 years old. She ate 45 hot dogs in 10 minutes. She also won $10,000.
And she's only like 5 foot tall or something,
Yes.
130 something pounds.
Yeah, my whole thing is, how do you practice for this competition? Like,
Hey, I'm just saying, any woman that can stock away that much meat, you got you gotta love. You know what I'm saying?
Big Ken, if I gave you 10 minutes to eat hot dogs, how many do you think? Now, give me a real, not the comedic answer. If I gave you 10 minutes, how many hot dogs you think?
Bruh, if you gave me all day,
you could eat 68 hot dogs?
I can only eat hot dogs up until I'm full. You know what I mean? Once I get full. What I don't understand, maybe they can train themselves to ingest that much food in a short amount of time. I wonder how their bodies process all of that food over the next few hours. You know what I'm saying? How do you digest all of that food?
They have to get rid of that.
When is your next meal? Are you do you have to go see a doctor? Are you using laxatives? What do you do to get rid of 63 hot dogs?
68
hot dogs.
Because when you think about it, Joey is almost eating 7 hot dogs a minute, which was almost a hot every 10 seconds.
And these are buns and hot dogs.
And
these
hot
are not
dogs.
just the meat. This is
Yes.
the bun and the hot dog.
And he's eating 7
Were they
per
grilled?
minute.
Were they on the grill? Or they was just
No,
boiled?
they just
microwave.
However you get them
boiled hot
at,
dogs,
yeah,
right.
however Nathan sells them at their
Served
store.
steamed hot
yeah,
dogs,
so
yeah.
68 hot dogs in 10 minutes for $10,000.
10 grand. I mean, now for 10 minutes worth of work, 10 grand is not a
That's-
bad take. That's about a grand. I ain't good at math, but that's about $1,000 a minute.
Right.
But still, the amount of pressure that it puts on your body, I can imagine, would be enormous.
We're 2 hours in the show, and the good producer comes and moves.
Adjust something. Yeah.
on the TV. I tell you, boy.
I think we need to have one of those things like they have in banks. Is when the show starts, everybody has to stay on their individual sides of the glass. You know what I'm saying? It's like a bank being open. When you come in, you can't come on this side of the glass just randomly. Just randomly come over here. And
I don't
move
come to your
stuff.
job and move stuff.
You
You
know,
know? I don't come over there and move nothing.
He's the same dude behind the counter at McDonald's stacking cups. You know what I'm saying? They would look neater over here.
And speaking of eating, this past week, 36-year-old Valerie Topete was arrested for putting beer in her 2-year-old son's sippy cup. The person, she was at a pizza restaurant, and the table next to her saw her put the beer in the sippy cup, and when they went to arrest her, she said, well, her son kept reaching for the pitcher. So that's why she poured him a cup of it. They did take the boy to the hospital for precautionary measures and released him with father, Big Kenny. Have you ever, I know we've all used NyQuil or something to get them to sleep, but I don't know about a cold Coke 45.
Well, I've never tried to induce sleep of any child by giving them beer, but I will say when I was growing up,
you just roofie them. Really,
I do the old-fashioned thing and just beat my children to sleep. I'm old-fashioned that way.
It's gonna hurt me more than it's gonna hurt you.
And they just
shut up,
and then they go to sleep. But I will say, I think that she was neglectful for doing what she did in public as a child growing up. In my family, like at barbecues and picnics and things like that, the children in my family shared beers up until you were double digits in age, and then you got your own. Right. And now the minimum was one, but that right. It's beer. What is it gonna do? That and attendance in school was no big deal with my folks. You know what I'm saying? They smart. Why they got to go to school every day?
I'm gonna tell you, one of my in-laws has a picture of my oldest daughter who just turned 9 on Friday. Happy birthday, Asia. She was like 1 or 2, and we had a cookout, and she was just grabbing for her dad's empty bottle. It was an empty bottle, but it had the little soap suds in the bottom of it. I guess she took it up to the head. She took it to the head, literally, and they took a picture.
And to me, a kid sipping a beer is not a super huge.
Well, for you parents out there, this is considered child abuse.
Right. Don't drop them off at my house.
This has been 8 years ago, so I am no longer bounded.
and as bad as it wasn't like the dude that was blowing his little 2-year-old nephew shotguns from the end of a blunt. You know what I'm saying? It's still bad, but that dude, he was smoking weed with an infant. I'm talking about months old. So
getting them right.
Child abuse, 2-year-old drinking
keep
beer.
Keep that kind of stuff at home.
And Joey Chestnut, 68 hot dogs in 10 minutes for $10,000. I can always remember that if I need $10,000.
And for the Black Widow, I'm not taking her out to dinner.
I'm no longer hungry.
Yeah, she gonna eat up a lot of food.
Can we see that menu again?
We'll be back. We're gonna talk a little NBA, some trades, some moves. The Olympic team will be back with my man Sekou Smith after this.
Is cheap and disposable. In 14 years, they are decomposable, and unlike my home, they are not foreclosable. Freddie Mac can kiss my ass. Woo! Red Solo Cup.
Don't go away. More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy is coming up next.
Hello, and welcome to today's lottery drawing. Good luck. And here's today's winning numbers. First one up, it's not yours. Second one, not yours. And another number that's not yours. Okay, this is one number that's yours. It's a 5, but you don't get any money for that. And the final number is not yours.
Yep, so chances are you're not going to hit the lottery anytime soon. Don't get us wrong, the lottery can be fun every now and then. Just please don't rely on it for your future savings. How about this? Brew your own coffee at home instead of buying that latte every day. Brown bag it to work instead of ordering in. Ride your bike instead of buying all that gas. These changes alone can save you thousands a year. Thousands. Small changes today, big bucks tomorrow. Feed that piggy bank. Go to feedthepig.org for more free ideas on how to save. Feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Psst. Hey, over here.
What?
Right here, on the side of the house.
Who said that?
Look down. I'm right at your feet.
Wait, the basketball?
Yes, the basketball. Right down here, where the kids left me a long time ago. Man, you know how lonely it is being a ball and not being able to bounce or roll?
Excuse me?
Remember when you got me for the kids? You said, now kids, you have no excuse not to go outside and play.
Uh-huh.
Wow. I'll miss flying through the air and hearing the shouts of joy when I swish through the basket. What do you say? Could you give me a little air and remind the kids of how fun I still am?
Okay. Oh, wow. You are flat.
Easy, I'm ticklish. Let's get bouncing.
As Native American parents and caregivers, our encouragement to healthy lifestyles for our kids is helping them get outside and play. Get ideas, get involved,
Get going at letsmove.gov/Indian Country. Brought to you by USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Hi, I'm Charles Barkley. When I need sports and entertainment, I listen to the Sports Jock with Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. NBA hot and heavy with its moves, trades, people going to other cities to play. None of this is official until the 11th. So Wednesday, all these transactions can be inked. Here in Atlanta, one of the big moves that you probably heard about was Joe Johnson, the shooting guard, the best player we've had here over the last 5 to 6 years, was traded to the Brooklyn Nets for basically a whole starting five that very few people ever heard of. But that's what it went down on the trade.
It was wholesale. Remember the last show that we did, we were talking about the moves in the NBA, and I said there's no way we get rid of Joe Johnson because nobody's going to pony up the money to buy his contract. And you said, well, it could be done, but they'd have to get rid of a lot of people.
Right.
And they had wholesale.
They had a wholesale
buy one,
trade.
get one free. We'll throw in an extra
and some draft picks.
And some draft picks, all for the low cost of $96 million.
$96 million. And we want to discuss the moves in the NBA of the past week with our main man, NBA TV, NBA.com, all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada, living big Willie style out there in Vegas. Sekou Smith. Sekou, are you there?
Hey guys, I don't know about that living big Willie style, but I'm out here in Vegas. 8 o'clock in the morning and all. Yeah.
You know you got the suite right next to LeBron, man. Stop playing.
The big ballers always say that they're not doing it like that. I don't know about that. I'm just on a G5, you know what I mean.
I got the suite right next to where LeBron's Bentley might be parked.
Well, Sekou, let's start here with Joe Johnson. When you saw this, and this happened last Tuesday, I mean, Danny Ferry hasn't even moved his underwear to Atlanta, and he's already traded Atlanta's biggest player in the last 5-6 years.
Well, he's definitely traded away the guy who had the biggest contract. I think some people would argue that there was a dispute as to who was their biggest and best player the last 5 years. And I think it could have been a three-way argument between Joe Johnson, Josh Smith, and Al Horford. And I think you can make legitimate arguments on each front. But the biggest thing about this, and I hope people who are Hawks fans understand this, you didn't hate Joe. You just hated that he was making as much money as he was, because he was absolutely a great player for the franchise and he helped lift it to a different level than where it had been prior to his arrival. But if you're Danny Ferry, you know if you have a chance to unload a deal that big, even if it's for several guys, most people have never heard of in a future draft pick, you do so. There is one small silver lining in that trade, though, that I think people are overlooking, and that's the addition of Anthony Morrow, who is a former Georgia Tech star and a knockdown shooter, a guy who's going to give the Hawks a whole new dimension along with the first-round draft pick, John Jenkins, in terms of, you're going to have two guys, both 6'3" and taller, who can absolutely light it up from outside.
Mm-hmm.
And that changes the way you play as a team, and it changes the way other teams defend you. It opens the floor up a lot for Al Horford, and it almost forces Josh Smith to completely abandon his three-point game, because now you have two other guys who are going to make him look so bad for missing those threes, in Morrow and Jenkins, guys who can shoot it, all day long from deep. So it's a very, very nice moves, I think, all the way around by Danny Ferry.
And Danny Ferry said that the Hawks couldn't get any better until he got rid of Joe's contract. I think that I give that a lot of, I give him a lot of credit for that because one of the things, no matter where I went, everybody wanted to know why we signed Joe for that much money. I mean, it was like I signed him, and it's like, no, I just go to the games. I don't have no direct.
And did it take a GM to say that we not gonna get any better till we can get rid of Joe Johnson's contract? You could have asked somebody selling popcorn at Phillips Arena what we needed to do, and they would have said, get rid of Joe Johnson's contract.
Right.
It's not a no-brainer.
But saying it and doing it are two very different things.
True,
and,
that is true. He had the courage to do
Danny
it.
Ferry his credit. He walked through the door and didn't hesitate. I wrote about it at the time, man. He walked through the door and cleaned up the two biggest mistakes that have been made in the past, 8 years by the franchise.
And the second
traded Marvin Williams, and it's no offense to either player. Marvin didn't draft himself. You know what I'm saying? He didn't walk up there and shake David Stern's hand without somebody drafting.
Right.
So I'm not mad at Marvin. I'm certainly not mad at Joe Johnson for accepting a $126 million contract off from anyone. Any player in his right mind knows to sign his name on that contract. So, but Ferry had to come in and do these things, man. And it's what he did in 8 days undid, 8 years worth of bad decisions. I mean, it's too bad for him. He couldn't go back and undraft Sheldon Williams and take Rudy Gay instead, and some of the other gaffes that they made, and not give Speedy Claxton $20 million. I mean, you can only fix so many mistakes, I guess, in your first week and a half on the job. But you have to find a way to clear up that cap space if you were going to have a chance to be a good team, for the next 5 years. Forget the past 5. What about the next 5? Danny Ferry is operating like a guy who's looking out for the next 5+ years of the Hawks' future, as opposed to looking out for right now. And that's a good thing to have in a GM.
And the biggest key is that most of the guys that coming over in the trade, their contracts are up at the end of the 2013 season. So that will free up cap space for a chance at someone like a Dwight Howard or even maybe a Chris Paul, who wouldn't sign his extension with the Clippers that they offered him maybe about a week ago in the excess of about $60 million over 3 years. There's been a lot of age passed around this league in the last 7 days as well. Steve Nash going out to the Lakers, Jason Kidd going to the Knicks, Ray Allen joining the Heat. All these gentlemen are 37+ years. Jason Kidd is even 39. Which team got the better of the ageless wonders?
I think the saying goes, the older the berry, the sweeter the juice, or something like that.
Something like that. I think you're putting together old sayings right now. You got hybrid old sayings now, but we get where you're going. We appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it's good to be an elder statesman right about now in the league. And I think Kevin Garnett kicked it off. When KG got that 3 years and $36 million on his extension, that was the sign that, hey, it's about to be on it. And I think, honestly, the Lakers really got the best end of the bargain.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me and Steve Nash, everybody's talking about, well, he's older and he's not going to be able to run around and do the things he's done in the past. Well, you forget Nash doesn't have 38-year-old guys tread on his tire. His first few years in the league, he wasn't playing big minutes. He wasn't playing Jason Kidd minutes the minute he walked through the door. He was a reserve early in his career. He didn't really break out and become a starting point guard in the league, for a few seasons. The other thing he does that I think allows him to play at a higher level longer than the average point guard is that he's a knockdown shooter. He's a guy who can shoot 50% from the floor, which is remarkable for a point guard. And he does it not just shooting threes. I mean, Nash shoots great from mid-range. He's got a baseline jumper. He's got floaters. He can drive to the basket, shoot layups over taller players. He's going to give the Lakers a completely new dimension as an offensive player with not only the 10.7 assists he averaged last year, but the ability to shoot and find guys, and then the ability to take pressure off Kobe Bryant late in games where you can't focus your entire defense on Kobe and him taking that last shot you have to worry about, Nash either making a shot or finding Pau Gasol, Andrew Bynum, or whoever the big man might be, depending on what happens in trade stuff. That's a different look. Ray Allen, as good as he is, he's going to be a composite of what they thought Mike Miller, and James Jones were going to be for the Heat this past year, if he stays healthy. So I don't think Ray Allen going to the Heat is as big a boost to them as it is a blow to Boston. Because his role in Boston was more than just him as a shooter. He was a part of that culture and a part of that big three and that whole vibe that they cultivated when they made that deal. So, to me, there's no question, that Nash is the guy with the most to gain in his new situation, and his team has the most to gain by his presence.
How do you think that Kobe's going to blend with Steve Nash?
I don't think Kobe will have a problem, man. And being out here, seeing these guys at Team USA training camp and the way they interact with each other, there's something about star players, man. When they get around the guys who are on their level or in that same realm, they tend to sacrifice a little bit more than they would for the Drew Goodens of the world. Now, I hate to knock Drew Gooden, but I remember
but you did anyway.
Yeah,
I don't want to knock Drew Gooden, but I will.
I remember early in LeBron's career when he went to Cleveland, he was playing with, those Mickey Davis and these kinds of guys, man. And it was like he was hesitant to really assert himself because he had veteran players around him who really thought they were the dude, guys who were really role players and B-list cats in the league who operated like they were A-list stars. And I think that's hard for a superstar player to defer to somebody when he knows a guy's not on his level. It's different when Kobe looks over and sees Steve Nash than when he looks over and sees Ramon Sessions or Steve Blake, or some of this other assortment of guys he's played with in the past. So I don't think it'll be a problem for Kobe.
All right, say cool. Well, thank you for calling in, man. Go back to sleep. It's about 9:20 out there, and we'll catch you next week. Maybe talk about the Olympic team. Sekou Smith, NBA TV, NBA.com. We'll be back after this.
More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy coming up next.
I'm Ed Smart, father of a child who was abducted.
I'm John Walsh. Like Ed, I also know the terror of having a child who was kidnapped. But now we have wonderful technology to aid in this battle.
It's called the Amber Alert. It's an early notification system to the public when every second counts.
Amber Alert is a partnership. We want to thank you, the public, broadcasters, transportation, and law enforcement. Amber Alert really works.
This moment of uncontrollable laughter was made possible by a 32-year-old man with little to no coordination, attempting to execute a simple cartwheel. His name is Sergeant Warner, but young James, our laughing friend here, simply calls him Dad. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hi, we're talking to real smokers about quitting. Tell me when you smoke and why you smoke.
Eat, cigarette, kids, cigarette, dinner, another cigarette.
One on my way to lunch, one after lunch.
And another cigarette, and another cigarette.
Have you tried to quit?
Yes. I become angry.
It ain't that easy. You can't just quit cold turkey. I tried.
What would you do different?
Actually having a plan and thinking it through.
You have to relearn how to live your life without a cigarette in your hand.
With the right plan, you can quit smoking. Free at becomeanx.org. X, a new way to think about quitting. Brought to you by X and the Ad Council.
Look around you. 1 in 4 kids in the U.S. faces hunger. It's not always easy to see the signs, but in this land of plenty, there are kids who don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Share Our Strength and take the pledge to end childhood hunger here in America by 2015. Learn how at NoKidHungry.org. Their next meal could come from you.
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. We like to think, NBA.com, NBA TV, Sekou Smith, for calling in all the way from Las Vegas. He's out there covering the Olympic team, basketball Olympic team, which is set now. Their training camp for the next week or two is out in Vegas. The team is comprised
because they can really focus in Vegas.
The team is comprised of LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, Tyson Chandler, Kevin Love, Blake Griffin, Darren Williams, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Andre Iguodala of the Sixers. That's your 12-man Olympic team. Injured players are as obvious as Dwight Howard, D. Wade, D. Rose, and Chris Bosh, all who are going to have some type of surgery between now and the season starting again. Jason Terry did sign with the Celtics, leaving the Mavs, and Jamal Crawford, who used to play here in Atlanta, Sixth Man of the Year, has signed with the Clippers, giving them a nice little off-the-bench player as well. The Clippers also signed Chauncey Billups back, and Darren Williams signed with back with the Brooklyn Nets. He said once he saw that Joe signed, it gave him a reason to go back. Here in Atlanta, I just wanted to hear what some of the fans had to say about Joe Johnson. You finally got your wish, so let's see what you had to say about the Joe Johnson trade.
Taking it to the streets for the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy, Conway Twitty. I got
Franco Castro.
Franco, what do you think about the trade of Joe Johnson from the Hawks to the Nets?
I think it's a terrific trade. We couldn't get rid of him quick enough.
That seems to have been the sentiment for the past 2 years. Fans really, I mean, he was here a long time before that contract, but when he signed that big money, and I think especially when players like Chris Bosh, LeBron James, and those guys make less than Joe on the NBA contract side, not endorsements, but as far as their contracts go, I think that's what really threw gas on the fire.
And, you know, Danny Ferry willing to come in and pull the trigger on the Joe Johnson trade the day he walks through the door. He could have a dismal season, and they're going to give him a pass for the next couple of seasons just because he was willing to do that. The possibility that we may get better, the hope and the optimism that things could get better now. We have the resources that we can pull from to make things better will make them want to keep him around for
and I must say, and before we go on, I must say this, Joe is a friend of mine, and in no right should any fan in Atlanta ever try to put our lack of success in the playoffs squarely on Joe. There is a whole bunch of other moves. We have had inadequate point guard play since Joe's been here. We've tried all kind of different combinations. We still have never got our hands on a center of any kind. We have mostly power forwards playing center. And some of the first-round picks, as Sekou alluded to, the Sheldon Smiths, the Marvin Williams, who were top. Marvin was the second pick of the draft in 2005. Never panned out to be, at least in this system, what they possibly could have been. So let's hear what someone else had to say.
Taking to the streets, Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy, Conway Twitty. I have with me
Jake Wagner.
Hey, Jake, Joe Johnson was just traded from the Hawks to the Brooklyn Nets. How do you think that's going to work out, or how is it going to work out for Atlanta?
I think it's a great deal that we got off there. We're getting rid of about $90 million in salary right there. And the way I look at it, the Hawks were a good team, but not a great team, and we really weren't producing in the playoffs. So I think that this will give us a chance to get that big target player that we've been looking for.
The target player, right now, I guess the two biggest targets would be Dwight Howard or Chris Paul. Chris Paul, who through his career has said that he would like to play in Atlanta because his family is from Carolina, one of the Carolinas. But the trade only becomes good, Big Kenny, if we do land another star player.
Because Dwight Howard has made it clear he does not want to come here.
He does not want to come here.
He does not want to come here. And I personally, if you don't want to come here, I personally don't want you here.
Right. Because then I'm going to get that same
attitude. Same dude that's in Orlando.
In Orlando.
I don't want him here. So
And one thing that we did do now, you did make the Nets with Darren Williams and Joe Johnson in the backcourt. A pretty good backcourt. You just need to add, somebody, Joe, Darren penetrating and Joe shooting threes is a outstanding combination that teams are going to have to deal with. Let's hear one more of what someone else had to say.
Taking it to the streets for the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy, Conway Twitty. I have
Tyler Gruca.
Tyler, how you doing?
Fantastic today.
Tyler, what do you think about the trade of Joe Johnson from the Atlanta Hawks to the Brooklyn Nets?
I think they will be a better team because of the trade. I don't really like the Hawks. I'm a Knicks fan.
Well, I guess you wouldn't even care that Joe Johnson got traded if you're a Knicks fan.
And I probably would have just canceled your interview, Mr. Tyler.
Once you told me you was a Knicks fan, I would have thought.
I would have thought, well, you won't air. But hey, that's not me.
Well,
I'm staying in my lane.
That's the difference between a A on a test and a C.
Right.
You put some answer that has no business on here.
Right.
What did the Knicks have to do with the essay? I thought we were talking about the Hawks.
Yeah.
Didn't you, Mr. Zaya? We were talking
I
about
did.
The Hawks.
I'm listening.
We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show.
Somebody's getting a frowny face on their paper.
That's what it is. We'll be right back.
More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy coming up next.
I'm Ed Smart, father of a child who was abducted.
I'm John Walsh. Like Ed, I also know the terror of having a child who was kidnapped. But now we have wonderful technology to aid in this battle.
It's called the Amber Alert. It's an early notification system to the public when every second counts.
Amber Alert is a partnership. We want to thank you, the public, broadcasters, transportation, and law enforcement. Amber Alert really works.
This moment of uncontrollable laughter was made possible by a 32-year-old man with little to no coordination, attempting to execute a simple cartwheel. His name is Sergeant Warner, but young James, our laughing friend here, simply calls him Dad. The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hi, we're talking to real smokers about quitting. Tell me when you smoke and why you smoke.
Eat, cigarette, kids, cigarette, dinner, another cigarette.
One on my way to lunch, one after lunch.
And another cigarette, and another cigarette.
Have you tried to quit?
Yes. I become angry.
It ain't that easy. You can't just quit cold turkey. I tried.
What would you do different?
Actually having a plan and thinking it through.
You have to relearn how to live your life without a cigarette in your hand.
With the right plan, you can quit smoking. Free at becomeanx.org. X, a new way to think about quitting. Brought to you by X and the Ad Council.
Look around you. 1 in 4 kids in the U.S. faces hunger. It's not always easy to see the signs, but in this land of plenty, there are kids who don't know where they'll get their next meal. Join Share Our Strength and take the pledge to end childhood hunger here in America by 2015. Learn how at NoKidHungry.org. Their next meal could come from you.
And now back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy. You're listening to the Sports Jock Show with Big Kenny and Mr. Zaire. We've had a great show thus far. Some great topics. Time has really, really flown by. We are already up to the birthday segment of our show today. We got some famous people here having a birthday. Ringo Starr is 72 years old.
And the world is all about peace, isn't it? And all we need is peace and love,
That's
don't
all
we?
we need. Was he the oldest?
He may be the oldest Beatle.
Beatle? Oh, okay. Geraldo Rivera. Geraldo, 69 years old. Geraldo.
Wow.
The first journalist that I can recall that gave his personal opinion about a news story. Now it's standard, but he was the first dude that because journalists used to have to be impartial. Geraldo was the first to go, I think that's stupid.
I remember the broken nose.
Yeah, I remember everybody remembers the broken nose.
Richard Roundtree is 70 years old.
I hear that Richard Roundtree is a bad mother.
Watch your mouth.
I'm talking about Richard Roundtree.
I couldn't even get it out.
Montel Williams, 56 years old.
He can still get it. Montel Williams, he can still get it.
And he's all about promoting the legalization of medical marijuana.
Absolutely, exactly.
He's a
He can
friend
still
of
get
the Sports Jock family.
Courtney Love, 48 years old.
Surprisingly, she's had another birthday.
She has made it again, folks.
Every time she has a birthday, the Grim Reaper look up like, I be trying, dog. I be trying. She just won't go.
Huey Lewis is 62 years old. Huey Lewis. Cree Summer from A Different World and from a lot of your animated movies. She does a lot of voiceovers that people wouldn't know of. She's 43 years old.
She played Freddie on Different World.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Edie Falco, 49 years old. She plays on Nurse. What is that show she's on?
Nurse Jackie.
Nurse Jackie now.
Best known as
from The Sopranos.
Carmela Soprano.
Yeah. Connie Nielsen, 48 years old, from one of my favorite movies, The Gladiator. Mike the Situation. Sorrentino is 30.
The Sitch.
I never saw that show.
I haven't either.
Isn't it amazing? He's just to be 30 years old and already be that despised, and to have that large of a body of work of horrible material in only 30 years. You are very accomplished.
The RZA is 43 years old.
Hold on, the RZA, Jizza, Ziggler, Zigzag, Ziggler, Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang Clan. Jimmy Smith is 57 years old.
That's it? I mean, Jimmy Smith has been in TV a long time.
Yeah, he's 57 years old. Kelly McGinnis is 55 years old. Remember her from Top Gun?
No.
You don't remember?
Oh,
the love interest?
The love interest. Yeah. Okay, now I do.
Yeah, she's 55 years old. I was also doing some research. She got raped, her and her roommate. She's lesbian, and somebody broke into her apartment when she was like 20, 25 and tied both her and her roommate up and raped them.
That makes the birthday announcements festive.
I'm just giving you some background.
The birthday of Kelly McGillis, who got raped yesterday.
I'm just giving you some background information on them.
Outstanding. Yeah, that is horrible. I didn't know she was a lesbian either. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Not that it matters.
Tom Cruise is 50.
Another person on my list.
It looks good. Tom Cruise looks good to be 50.
He does.
Him and his wife getting a divorce.
Yay.
Again,
Thank
Tom
God.
Cruise.
He is back.
And maybe the best actor of our time.
Who?
Is slow down over there, Uncle Barry.
Did you just say Tom Cruise is the best actor of our time?
No.
Oh, I was.
You okay?
He got excited.
I'm about to write
Let's try this again. Maybe the best actor of our time.
Okay, there we go.
Tom Hanks is 56 years old. Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump himself. Run, Forrest.
Bubba Gump.
Run.
I was running.
I'm coming, Jenny.
Jenny almost made me cry when she died.
Did she?
Yeah, back in, I ain't gonna say when that was, but yeah,
Life is like a box
he really
of
loved that
chocolates.
woman.
And I know, I'm not a super emotional dude at movies, but when she told him that she was sick and possibly dying, when he said, Jenny, no, you could hear how, he was losing the love of his life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hollywood also lost a couple of actors this week. Ernest Borgnine.
Oh, wow.
most famous for being in McHale's Navy back in the 60s. 95 years old. Man, I give him a clap. 95 years old. And maybe the most popular character ever to be on TV, Andy Griffith. Andy Griffith passed away at 86 years old. Most famous for his role as Andy Taylor on the Andy Griffith Show, and he also played Matlock.
Paul, how come don't no black people live in Mayberry?
Okay, so listen, y'all not gonna have me laughing while y'all talking about people dying. I love my job, but you're just not gonna do it. I refuse to go.
No, I mean, I didn't kill him or anything.
You got me
it's all right. He lived a really nice, long life.
In a funny but sad death. The girl in Detroit, Adisha Miller, she was celebrating her 25th birthday, and one of her friends was an undercover cop, and they still had their gun on them. And she went to give him a hug for her 25th birthday, and the gun went off and killed her.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Which is why I never invite cops to parties.
It's like, wow, like really?
Wow.
It's like, wow, 25
Boy,
years
how
old.
bizarre.
Celebrating her 25th birthday, and the gun went off.
And every
Adisha
year
Miller.
your birthday comes around, your friends and family have to remember that.
Yes, that's how you lost your life, on your 25th birthday. But we're going to go to break. We come back. We'll find something else to talk about. We got so much left in this book.
Had a fantastic
Anderson Cooper
weekend yesterday. Yeah.
CNN Anderson Cooper decided he finally tell me something I already knew.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want everybody to know that it might not be obvious.
And I'm sitting there thinking he came out like 30 years ago. Then
It might not be obvious, honey, but I've got a secret.
We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show after this.
More of the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy coming up next.
Go Caleb! Come on, hit a homer, Jesse!
Let's go, guys!
Hey, did you guys know that kids who play sports earn more money when they grow up?
Of course. I knew that.
Hey, did you guys know that kids who read books have a bigger vocabulary?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Mhm.
Wow, jinx. Did you guys know that friendly children have more friends?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's true. I knew that. Did you guys know that winter babies are better at music?
Everyone knows that.
Oh, yeah?
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
obvious.
Oh, hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Huh. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure I knew that.
I'm pretty sure you didn't.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The forest is a treasured and magical place.
Hello, Bambi. Hello, little prince. Hello. Hello there.
But a wildfire can destroy its beauty for a lifetime. It's always wildfire season somewhere in America. Nearly 9 out of 10 wildfires nationwide are caused by the carelessness of humans and could be prevented. But together, we can make a difference.
Watch what I can do.
Help protect the home of our forest friends.
He can call me a flower if he wants to.
To find out more, log on to SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
This message has been brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, the National Association of State Foresters, and the Ad Council.
Come on! You can do it!
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy, and I'm a sports advocate. I watch anything that has anything to do with competition. And one thing I didn't even know happened was we had a heavyweight world championship fight this week. This lets you know how far the heavyweight division has just fallen off. Vladimir Klitschko, one of the Klitschko brothers over there, that
from that great Klitschko dynasty,
beat Tony Thompson in the 6th round of Saturday night's fight for his WBO, WBA, IBF belt. As you know, the one Klitschko brother has 3 belts and the other one has the other belt, and they made a pact never to fight each other. And I guess that's why it's anonymous who is the world's boxing champion.
Right.
That you can have a heavyweight fight, and that used to be the biggest fight. That used to be the big deal. That's when you sold a lot of Doritos and cold beer. Is that not right, Big Kenny?
That used to be. Heavyweight boxing was the Super Bowl of boxing.
Yes.
That is what you wanted to watch, and all of the undercard, welterweight, that was girls boxing. You know what I'm saying? That's what we considered like the bantamweight dudes were like, guys that because maybe a girl could fight. So let's watch the heavyweight.
And most of the heavyweights, they were the famous people.
And they had the most class and the most personality and the most fan appeal, and all of that stuff.
Right. South Africa has let Oscar Pistorius, how you say his name, Kenny? Pistorius, is it?
I don't know what
the
you're
guy.
looking at.
They let him get on with the prosthetic legs for their team. He has the J-shaped legs.
No, I didn't.
He's the first amputee to be allowed in the Olympics.
Pistorius?
There you go.
Pistorius.
Last week, he's the first guy to be allowed from any country in the Olympics as an amputee. A lot of the runners are complaining that he has a competitive advantage. Y'all laugh, but
you think that bionic legs are a competitive advantage in running? I don't know. What would you say?
What? He still has the condition just like they do because it has so much more to do than just your legs.
But
your wind's got to be.
But his legs will never get tired.
Well, that may be true.
His legs will never get tired.
I mean, that's round to round. He's going to be the same speed.
I am 100% in favor of people with disabilities continuing to grab life by the horns and achieve all of their dreams. But there are some things that maybe you ought to sit out. Racing generally requires legs.
Correct.
He's got them. They're just metal.
My point.
He's
generally when they first came up with the rules and regulations of racing, they didn't include what would happen if the runner did not have legs because it's running.
Correct.
I mean, they had to invent this rule, make an exception for him, and they have Paralympic Games, which is why I'm not understanding the whole furor in him getting in the regular Summer Olympics. They've got Paralympic Games. Participate in that.
He's 25 years old. He competes in the 400-meter and the 4x400-meter relay. The carbon fiber blades are known as cheetahs.
Right.
That he runs on. That's the name of his legs.
And if they win, Nike's going to get a swoosh painted on them.
On the back of it.
Yeah, I mean, you might not have any sneaker endorsement in your future, but we can paint your blades with a swoosh.
So I'm with you, Kenny. I think that anything like that is unfair. It's just like
it would be different if
doping.
we didn't have a sport or an event for para.
Okay, so tell me what is fair, like in any sport, because
allowing him to play in the sports that's designed for people with his.
But then that's discrimination.
No, it's not.
No.
They've got their own Olympics. That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't box you if you had fake hands.
Right.
Because then your hands will always have the same. They would never get tired.
And I was going to say that's like doing a porno with fake breasts, but that's a bad.
But that happens all the time.
That's a really bad example. That was not working for that part.
Punching somebody with fake hands or fingers or whatever the case may be, that's totally different simply because it's contact with someone else. This is just running. He's touching the pavement.
It's an extremity, though. You're using.
If you have a fake hand, that hand may be able to take greater force of pressure. It may have a quicker release, something like that. This man has on devices that are designed to propel him forward at a rapid rate of speed while reducing the amount of drag and all of that. It's an unfair advantage.
Yes.
He should compete with other bionic dudes.
And any part of sport is the fatigue of the body.
Right.
It's about training the body to be at its best and not fatigue when you need it. When you're doing anything, running, jumping, it's about how you've trained your body.
But that's
so
what
there's
I'm
an
saying.
aspect that he doesn't have to lift weights.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to train his feet, his calves. Any of that comes
So
into.
that's the thing that you guys are saying is unfair. The fact that he doesn't have to go through the whole process in order to be able to run is the actual problem.
Well, that's the part of that's unfair in any sport when you don't have to go through the process.
And then if your body doesn't fatigue, that's an unfair advantage. How can you be running in a race? I mean, and with racing, there are different heats. So you may get to the finals and everybody else is tired from running their 2 or 3 prospective races, and you still on some boing, boing, boing. Let's run.
Do it right.
Yeah, he's
right. My boing has a little more bass in it. You know what I mean?
I'm quite sure he will be closely covered when he gets over to London. First amputee, 25 years old. We'll see how the other competitors embrace him when he shows up. There'll be a little turmoil. We'll be back with more of the Sports Jock Show after this break. Big Kenny, what's that number?
The number is 888-926-7562. 888-926-7562.
The Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy coming up next.
Go Caleb! Come on, hit a homer, Jesse!
Let's go, guys!
Hey, did you guys know that kids who play sports earn more money when they grow up?
Of course. I knew that.
Hey, did you guys know that kids who read books have a bigger vocabulary?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Wow, Jinx. Did you guys know that friendly children have more friends?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's true. I knew that. Did you guys know that winter babies are better at music?
Everyone knows that.
Oh, yeah?
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
obvious.
Oh, hey, guys. Did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Huh. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure I knew that.
I'm pretty sure you didn't.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The forest is a treasured and magical place.
Hello, Bambi. Hello, little prince. Hello. Hello there.
But a wildfire can destroy its beauty for a lifetime. It's always wildfire season somewhere in America. Nearly 9 out of 10 wildfires nationwide are caused by the carelessness of humans and could be prevented. But together, we can make a difference.
Watch what I can do.
Help protect the home of our forest friends.
He can call me a flower if he wants to.
To find out more, log on to SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
This message has been brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, the National Association of State Foresters, and the Ad Council.
Come on! You could do it!
And now, back to the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy.
The truth is, he will throw your ass in the ocean. It's time to wrap things up on the Sports Jock Show with Wayne Gandy.
Welcome back to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock Wayne Gandy, and when you hear the sounds of the ocean, that means that the Sports Jock Show is nearing its end. We always like to thank our call-in reporters Doug Fireball Turnbull and Sekou Smith of NBA.com and NBA TV working hard out there in Las Vegas, burning the midnight hour. No, it's real tough.
Yeah, it's such a strain.
Being up in the VIP with Kobe and the boys tonight.
On the United States dollar. You know what I'm saying? The United States dime.
When are we going to Vegas, Wayne? I'm saying.
We have to find a big fight weekend to go to. There we go. When the next big fight comes out. When Floyd get out of jail.
Because if we don't go next time, it will be a big fight. You know what I'm saying? The next big fight will be right here in the studio.
We're going to get some tennis shoes with the little ankles on.
We'd like to welcome once again our new affiliate over in Camden, Alabama, WQLS 90.5 FM, The Q. We air over there Saturday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. WQLS, The Q 90.5. And a story that I meant to mention to you, Big Kenny, the Kentucky High School Association has officially made bass fishing a sport in high school. Bass fishing, like how do we practice that? Do we just get on a bus?
Trust me, it's Kentucky. They practice. You know what I mean? That's what they do. Just like dudes are at the parks with their sons in the inner cities like Chicago and Philly, there are guys out on the banks of rivers and creeks in Kentucky bass fishing. That's what they do.
Fishing as a sport in high school.
As a high school, I lettered all 4 years.
Got rid of the band and picked up bass fishing. They actually are the second state. Illinois is being the first state for bass fishing as a high school sport.
So are there scholarships available? Where do you go after high school with your bass fishing skills?
I guess you walk on. You walk on or something. I don't know.
I walked on at Notre Dame.
In Bowling Green, Kentucky, speaking of Kentucky, a lady, Jackie Farrell, was arrested, her and Joe Smith, for leaving 19 children at home for a week. Their defense was they told their neighbor they had a family emergency in Michigan. I don't care what you tell me. If you got 19 kids, I'm not watching your 19 kids.
And then if you got in a family emergency, why don't you take your family with you? I'm just saying, it's a family emergency, people.
Yeah, it's 19 kids. They said the neighbors called the police. The kids range from age 8 months to 14 years old. The neighbors said they have done this before, not for this extended amount of time. It's a 3-bedroom house. It was 19 kids. They had 10 pets. The police said when they got there, the house was filthy, and they had a lot of animal feces everywhere. So
how can you differentiate between the animal and the human when it's what are the age ranges again?
8 months to 14 years old.
Wow. So 14-year-old, you take care of this 8-month-old while I'm gone.
19
kids.
Happens.
The parents are spending a lot of time together, obviously.
They're trying to stay together
but
so they can make more kids.
But you can't.
Obviously.
But it's one thing to ask your neighbor to watch your one child.
Right.
19 children.
Man, look,
nobody's about to do that.
Who knows what goes through your mind when you got 19 kids? You just needing a break. Anybody willing to watch them for any amount of time, you jumping at that chance.
19 children.
Bring me the babies. I'll watch them.
And quickly, you, Mr. Zire, you said that Usher Raymond's stepson just passed away.
Yes, he did. The founder of Bounce TV. And as soon as I can get it to come back up, Tamika Raymond, the stepson of Usher Raymond, Kyle Glover, he's 11. He was jet skiing with a 15-year-old friend, and he got collided with a jet ski at Georgia's Lake Lanier, and he was hit in the head, and he is pronounced brain dead about 56 minutes ago.
That's the third child in a couple of weeks that has passed at Lake Lanier. They really need to start making you have a driver's license.
Is brain dead the same as all the way? But it's
he's still on the life support.
Right.
They haven't taken it off yet.
And Ryan Glover, that young man's father, is a personal friend of mine. So as a father and as a friend, Ryan, my prayers are with you. Stay strong, brother, and I hope that God's peace covers you.
And as usual, when you hear the sounds of the ocean, it gives the sports jock a chance to vent about his week. And last week, it was very easy to find someone to throw in the ocean. The sports jock has a 4th of July party every year for the last 6 years. His annual party. It's a nice time. A lot to drink, a lot of food, and I'm not going to call any names, so I'm making a general statement, but I have to throw these people in the ocean. There's an old saying I used to say, some men run their house and then some men run around their house. For all you men that had to sneak over as though you had told your wife you were going up to Quick Trip and you'd be back and come in and dap me up and tell me how you only have 20 minutes to stay. You should go shoot yourself. If you're paying your mortgage, you're running your house, you should be allowed to go see your friend at his 4th of July party without having to feel like you slighted your spouse. So for all you guys, I would like you to
walk the plank.
You know who you are, so I won't mention any names. Well, thank you for tuning in to the Sports Jock Show. I'm the Sports Jock, Wayne Gandy, from Big Kenny, the funny man himself.
Yeah.
And the beautiful Miss Desire,
Thank you.
who did make my party. We'd like to tell you to have a nice evening. We'll see you back here next Monday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Have a nice day.
QLS, we'll see you on Saturday, 1 to 4, 90.5 FM.